From Durban, if you're driving between Hammersdale and the N3 highway, there's a bit of traffic on that Hammersdale road, both directions, so something unfolding there this morning. And Cape Town, a crash on the N2 driving into Cape Town just before the airport runway. It has been cleared, but it's left a backlog of traffic moving through from Khayelitsha, and some overnight roadworks wrapping up around Parow, slowing traffic on the N1 inbound. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
It's 7 after 6 o'clock, Thursday, the 30th of April. A very good morning to you. You're listening to the National Briefing. My name is Cathy Mohlahlana. I'll be with you until 9 o'clock as you step into your day. Well, what's on the agenda today? The editor of South Africa's most influential newspaper steps aside after an SIU investigation links a company tied to him to National Lottery Commission money meant for journalism training. The story raising uncomfortable questions not only about public funds but about credibility, accountability, and also institutions meant to scrutinize a power. What happens when they themselves come under scrutiny? Who is watching the watchdogs? Then the politics of immigration move sharply onto the streets of Johannesburg. Hundreds march on the Gauteng legislature demanding tougher action against undocumented migrants. Supporters say communities are under strain, businesses are exploiting cheap labor, and government has lost control of the system. And critics are warning that the language being used is becoming more volatile as the country edges towards the 2026 local government elections. Are we watching legitimate frustration, or is there something much deeper at play, and perhaps something we're not ready to name? And later, another municipality under corruption investigation, and its 10 officials in Limpopo arrested over a 38 million rand landfill site tender. Residents say the scandal is bigger than just a failed project. It's about how refuse, infrastructure, and other services have collapsed in their municipality. That's all coming up on Municipal Watch in the third hour of the show. And as always, the conversation belongs to you on the National Briefing this morning. You can get in touch with us on 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032 on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages 0614 104 107. All of that coming up, including your latest market, sport, and which other updates do we have, Zelma? Market, sport, and weather reports. And traffic. I was looking for traffic with Rob Byrne. You can tell tomorrow's a public holiday.
Attention all shoppers.
Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Hey! There's something new happening on SABC2. Fresh stories, bold moves. It's just a whole new vibe, man. And I am part of that vibe in Pimville. I am Shameni Mdinda. Catch me on Monday to Friday at 9 o'clock. Live in every beat. The pulse of SA.
You are listening to the National Briefing with Cathy Mohlahlana.
It's 11 after 6 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. If you've just joined us, we're going to take a look at what's making headlines on the front pages of the national publications. I'll start with the weekly, the Mail and Guardian. They're continuing on the IDC, and this morning's headline: IDC fails black entrepreneurs. And inside there, an entrepreneur has accused the IDC of rigid recovery practices that ignore the impact of COVID-19. This is as calls grow for an inquiry into its treatment of struggling black-owned businesses. And there is the face of a young entrepreneur that I think many South Africans would know, Aphiwe Nqusane Mawela of Brewster's Craft. She, of course, started an agro-processing and beverage manufacturing company. This is it was the first of its kind, especially led by a woman in the country, and she's at the center of the story. Amid growing calls for inquiry into the IDC, entrepreneurs in distress are speaking about their experiences with the state-owned lender. The push follows appeals from the National African Federated Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that's NAFCOC, and opposition parties for scrutiny of the IDC's lending practices after several black-owned companies faced liquidation. This is over loan repayments. So there's more on that story in the Mail and Guardian. They're also running a Workers' Day special tomorrow, of course, being Workers' Day. On that front page, white workers earn 380% more than black workers. That's just one of the key figures. Reflections on aggression, resistance, and renewal. And unionized workforce is still ideal. That's just what you can find on the front page of the Mail and Guardian. The front page of the Citizen this morning: cops pay eats budget with a staff complement of 185,000 rand. Some 80% of the police's 127 billion rand budget this year will go to paying salaries amounting to, wait for it, 102 billion rand. That's how much the country's spending, right, on the police force. Yesterday, top cop Lieutenant General Puleng Dimpane briefed Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police, telling them that 400 million rand was for securing the elections. Another story then that they're going with is a picture of what transpired in Johannesburg CBD yesterday. This is where protesters marched through the city centre against illegal migrants, and it was a march led by March and March movement, which is calling for stronger immigration enforcement. And we know they've been saying they're building up to a big march on the 4th of May. So also note there that there'll be no Citizen tomorrow. The paper will be back on Monday. I guess it's because it is Workers' Day tomorrow. The front page of the Sowetan this morning: a prison rip-off for Bara guards. One of the affected officers is facing dismissal for querying a total of 2,500 rand after 2 years of contributions. And the owner and KZN police chief, this is Nemesis Calvin Matibeli, denies missing payments despite evidence backing the workers. So this is really around the security guards that have been hired at Baragwanath Hospital and how they are being exploited by their security company. At least that is the allegation then that is being put forward on the front page of the Sowetan. Wrapping it up then with the business day: Moody's SA exit triggers 24-month shift for banks. That's what the Business Day is leading with. The Prudential Authority has notified banks of its intention to de-recognize Moody's Investors Services South Africa as an eligible external credit assessment institution. So this is a big one. The notice dated April 21 followed another notice sent out by the Financial Sector Conduct Authority on April the 16th that it had cancelled the registration of Moody's as a credit ratings agency subject to conditions determined in accordance with the Credit Rating Service Act. And so basically, the move is going to have no effect on South Africa's sovereign rating, which is assigned by the global entity Moody's Investor Services. So that's then what you can expect more of in the Business Day this morning. It's the main story that they're running with on their front pages. So that's what's then on the front pages of your national publications.
This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
It's 17 after 6. Tomorrow is a public holiday, so many of you may actually be getting on the road today. Here's a look at what you can expect weather-wise. We'll start with the warnings. An orange level 6 warning, severe thunderstorms resulting in damage or loss of infrastructure, settlements, property, vehicles, livelihoods and livestock, injuries and danger to life, and major travel disruptions expected over the western parts of both Free State and Northwest and the northeastern parts of the Northern Cape. A yellow level 4 warning, severe thunderstorms resulting in damages to infrastructure, settlements, property, vehicles, livelihood and livestock, injuries and danger to life, as well as major travel disruptions are expected over the central parts of Northwest, Central and Eastern Free State and Central Interior of the Northern Cape. And a yellow level 1 warning, damaging wind and waves leading to difficulty in navigation, localized disruption on small harbors and ports for a short period of time. Small vessels at risk of taking on water and capsizing in a locality. Localized damage to coastal infrastructure and localized disruptions to beachfront activities are expected between Richards Bay and Corsi Bay. There are no fire warnings or advisories issued for today. In Pretoria, morning fog in places, otherwise cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, minimum 9, maximum 21. The expected UVB sunburn index is high. In Johannesburg, morning fog in places, otherwise cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, minimum 8, maximum 18. In Vereeniging, morning fog in places, otherwise cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, minimum 6, maximum 20. In Mbombela, cloudy with morning fog, minimum 14, maximum 23. In Polokwane, cloudy, minimum 14, maximum 17. In Mahikeng, cloudy and windy with scattered showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 21. In Vryburg, cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 20. In Bloemfontein, cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 10, maximum 14. In Kimberley, cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 11, maximum 14. In Uppington, cloudy and windy with widespread showers and thunder showers, minimum 14, maximum 16. In Cape Town, fine, wind moderate to fresh southwesterly, minimum 14, maximum 20. The expected UVB sunburn index is high. In George, fine, becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon, wind light and variable, becoming moderate southwesterly in the evening, minimum 8, maximum 19. In Gqeberha, partly cloudy, wind light northerly, becoming light southwesterly in the evening, minimum 13, maximum 20. In East London, fine, becoming partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, wind light northerly to easterly, minimum 14, maximum 21. In Durban, partly cloudy, wind light northerly to northwesterly until mid-morning. Otherwise, light northeasterly, becoming light to moderate southwesterly in the evening. Minimum 16, maximum 24. The expected UVB sunburn index is low. In Richards Bay, partly cloudy, becoming fine in the evening. Wind light northerly to northwesterly until mid-morning. Otherwise, light to moderate northeasterly, reaching fresh in the afternoon. Minimum 15, maximum 27. And in Pietermaritzburg, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers. Minimum 8, maximum 22.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Top Billing is back with a bold new chapter and fresh new faces leading the way. Get ready to experience the world of luxury, travel, design and inspiring stories with our dynamic new presenters, bringing their unique style, energy and perspective to every moment. The all-new season of Top Billing premieres on S3 Thursday, the 30th of April at 7 p.m. Repeats Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. on SABC1. Top Billing is back. You don't want to miss it.
The Global Briefing on SAFM.
Well, let's get into our global brief then this morning. In Switzerland, the latest polling shows a majority of Swiss voters back an initiative to cap their population at 10 million. Whether to defend infrastructure or to pull up the drawbridge, depending on who you ask. And in Brazil, Al Jazeera is reporting that tropical forest loss has slowed in 2025 after a record year. It's a small reprieve, but the Amazon's future is still on knife's edge. And in Lebanon, the Prime Minister is accusing Israel of war crimes after strikes killed 3 rescue workers. Well, let's bring in political analyst Dr. Asiphe Mxalisa to unpack these stories further for us. Dr. Mxalisa, good morning to you. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me this morning, and good morning to the listeners as well.
The Swiss story is quite an interesting one, right? Because on some level, it's framing migration as an infrastructure problem. When you look at it, how is this likely to land in the rest of Europe? And is it something that we should be paying close attention to?
I mean, what is happening in Switzerland is not something that is of difference in other countries. What we see is that there's a lot of growing anxiety about resources that are available in the global world. And it actually signifies that even developed systems, developed countries are under pressure. So, I mean, the Switzerland debate about capping its population is striking because it comes from one of the most stable and prosperous societies in the world. And what we're seeing is actually the growth in terms of shift from growth optimism to growth anxiety. So for decades, population growth meant economic expansion, labor supply and innovation. But now, even in wealthy countries, people are asking, what are the limits? So imagine for developing and underdeveloped countries who are also facing a large population growth. What would be the issues if in a stable economy? These are the questions that are being asked.
Is this 10 million limited to Swiss-born individuals and nationals, or is it just an overall only 10 million people are allowed within these borders at any given time?
Well, of course, it's easy to see it as a sign of rising anti-immigration sentiment because a lot of the debate is around immigration. Even though it is not simply about immigration, it is about whether infrastructure and resources can keep pace with growth. So what we see is that there is indeed a broader shift happening globally in international relations when it comes to large immigration numbers that are moving into the European countries, into the Western countries, which then creates a lot of pressure in terms of their policies, in terms of their resources, in terms of their economy. So to cap the population, it has to focus on immigration to begin with, and then move into a Swiss-born population. So that could create like a two-coin structure where we see it as anti-immigration, but at the same time looking at what the country knows it can handle.
Brazil's deforestation, that's showing signs of slowing down in 2025. Why is all of this significant?
So it is significant because it actually shows a fragile process in environmental governance. So the slowing of tropical forest loss on the surface is actually really good news, but it is fragile. This fragility is the real story, because this is not a moment of victory only, but a moment of pause. So the tropical forests sit at the intersection of competing pressures when it comes to the economic demand, which is what we speak about when we look at agriculture, mining, and development, but also something that we've been speaking about in terms of the global warming, which is climate responsibility, where forests are carbon sinks. So it looks, what we're saying is that progress is possible when there is political will, when there is international cooperation and international funding, but it is reversible. One policy shift, one economic shock, and deforestation can accelerate again, as we've seen in previous years. So the lesson here is about the balance under pressure, as well as humanity trying to maintain ecological stability.
All right. Lastly, and very briefly, Lebanon's Prime Minister is using the language of war crimes in describing this moment. This conflict, of course, we seem to be in it for the long haul. Let's talk about the latest developments.
The most scariest thing in terms of international relations currently is the growth in terms of the collapse of political and humanitarian systems. Lebanon represents the most acute form of system failure amongst even the countries with regards to the escalation of violence. Even with what you were saying, accusations of war crime. In that, Lebanon has had long, fragile economic, political, and social stability. But what we're seeing now is the compounding of crises. We're seeing internal weakness combined with external military pressure. In simple terms, it means that when systems fail in places like Lebanon, the consequences are immediate and human, but they also signal a weakening of the global order. So the limits of global governance institutions that we see in Lebanon, the increasing volatility of regional conflicts is very worrisome in the global world, and human beings are the ones that are paying the price.
All right. Let me thank you for your time on the Global Brief this morning, Dr. Cathy Mohlahlana, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Political Studies and International Relations at Northwest University. It's 6:30. Chanduko is standing by with the latest news headline. Chanduko, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and thank you. The suspected director of asset protection in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chuku Dumalachi, will return to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. Tackling the country's water crisis will top the agenda of President Cyril Ramaphosa's meeting with relevant leaders from all three spheres of government at the Presidential Coordinating Council in Boksburg, Ekurhuleni this morning. And the Zambian government and the family of the late former President Edgar Lungu are set to face off in the High Court in Pretoria today. A full bulletin will follow at 7 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, very upsetting and distressing scenes being witnessed last night. Overnight last night, trucks are being attacked, stoned, and then set on fire just north of Heidelberg. The road appears to be reopened. It was certainly closed earlier this morning when we were doing crossings to First Take, but it seems that it has been reopened. There may be a little bit of recovery and cleanup operation there. It's the N3 just north of Heidelberg, south of the 550, the Alberton exit. But just keep your eyes if you're driving that way on the road ahead. There is a bit of a backlog of truck traffic being held up Joburg bound just south of Heidelberg at the Weybridge. It might just be a processing problem after the road was closed and the trucks obviously didn't want to go through that area. Away from that, Joburg's N3 tight this morning from the cement factory up to Van Buren Road. Crash coming through Vanderboom side of Pretoria this morning on Steve Biko at De Beer, so there's an extra delay to get through there. Looking okay, Cliffdale Keyridge, always worth a check, no problems if you're on your way up to Pietermaritzburg or down to Durban. There is a crash involving a bus and a truck on the R34 John Ross Highway just by Foscor as you go in towards Richards Bay this morning. And Cape Town, the crash on the N2 inbound at Khayelitsha is being cleared, and the roadworks overnight that caused major problems inbound at Kiel-Besson near N1 City. Those roadworks have lifted. It's a normal backlog through to Sable Road. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
It's 6:32. Zach Khan, a very good morning to you. So, soccer action from last night. Mamelodi Sundowns must be smiling.
Oh, yeah, and their fans, Cathy. You know what? They were so good. And this title race just keeps getting the temperature up and up. So yeah, Sundowns, thank you for turning the temperature up again in this title race. It was an exciting night to see where they would end, and they did well. Back on top, they had a 1-0 win over Polokwane City at Seshego Stadium. Marcelo Allender's second half strike proving decisive, lifting Miguel Cardoso's side 2 points clear at the summit and extending their unbeaten run to 17 matches. Meanwhile, in another match, Siwelele FC stunning Kaizer Chiefs 2-0 at the Free State Stadium, ending Amakhozi's 7-match unbeaten run. Early goals from Teboho Potsane and Spesisle Jeza sealed the upset, lifting the hosts onto the top of the table. Chiefs pushed after the break but were left frustrated, and they now face a massive test against Sundowns next. Champions League, Arsenal were held 1-1 by Atletico Madrid in a dramatic semi-final first leg overshadowed by VAR controversy. A late penalty initially awarded to the Gunners was overturned after review while both sides scored from the spot earlier in the match. Arsenal impressed early but had to withstand sustained second half pressure in what was a finely balanced tie. Rugby now, and Western Province and Eastern Province will meet. That's tomorrow's Under-20 Women's Week final in Alberton. After dominant semi-final victories, both sides remain unbeaten, and this is just highlighting the talent emerging in South African women's rugby. And finally, cycling. The world champion Tadej Pogačar has taken control of the Tour de Romandie after sprinting to victory on stage 1. The Slovenian claimed his 5th win in 7 days to move into the overall lead as he builds towards the Tour de France. That's your sport. We'll cycle back to the podium on the national briefing with more sport. Top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAFM.
Ndauleng, a very good morning to you. Let's start off with the Fed leaving rates unchanged. Of course, the rest of the world would be watching that.
Good morning, Cathy. This move was expected, of course. The Federal Reserve standing pat on rates for a third straight meeting, holding the benchmark at 3.5% to 3.75%. Now, policymakers in the US are treading carefully as inflation remains sticky above 3%, largely driven by energy costs, while the labor market continues to show resilience. Still, the 8-4 split reveals growing divisions within the committee, underscoring uncertainty about the timing of future rate cuts. Now, that uncertainty intersects with a leadership transition. In yesterday's meeting, Chair Jerome Powell confirmed he will be stepping down, but will remain on the board to support continuity. Meanwhile, Trump's chair pick, Kevin Walsh, has cleared his first hurdle, with the Senate Banking Committee advancing his nomination, leaving markets focused on how a new policy tone could emerge. Now, it's against that backdrop of policy caution where we saw China's factory activity remaining in expansion in April, with the PMI at 50.3. While slightly softer month on month, the data suggests manufacturing is still holding up. Export orders returning to expansion is particularly notable, pointing to stabilizing external demand. Now, that offers some support to global growth at a time when central banks like the Fed remain cautious. However, weakness in services and construction highlights uneven momentum, reinforcing concerns that any slowdown in China could quickly feed into global trade and commodity demand. Shifting focus to markets, the firmer Chinese data gave stocks in Beijing a lift, though the optimism didn't carry across the region, with most Asian markets trading lower this morning. Now, the mixed sentiment mirrors uncertainty around U.S. policy and global growth. Overnight, stateside stocks were volatile, but the tech-heavy Nasdaq edged higher on strong earnings from the Magnificent Seven, with numbers out from Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google's parent company, Alphabet. Bringing it back home, the JSE closed weaker, weighed down by a sell-off in precious metals that dragged mining stocks lower and pulled the all-share down nearly 0.5%. That risk-off tone extended to currencies, with the rand under pressure from a stronger dollar and rising oil prices, which are now back above $120 a barrel, amid concerns over a potential extended U.S. blockade. Now, the local unit is trading at 16.90 to the dollar, 22.76 to the pound, and 19.71 to the euro. That's your market brief this hour. Catch you again at 7:30.
Africa in Focus with Advocate Sipho Mantula on SAfm.
Refreshing morning to you, Advocate Mantula.
Refreshing morning, is Cathy and Jumbo Africa. And as you see, I'm picking up from where Ntaoleng left on issues of economy, looking at China, South Africa, and Kenya.
Absolutely. China, zero tariff push. That seems to be winning a backing from South Africa and Kenya.
That is quite true, but also let's add other 51 member states of the AU, Cathy, that China from tomorrow, beginning of May 1, which we know it's a workers' day, China said it will grant zero tariff access to goods from 53 African countries. And that is what we call economic diplomacy in motion. South Africa's Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Pakster, was saying that this will be a significant move because it will benefit those who are in an agricultural sector, citrus, your wine, your alu-based products. But also Kenya have said that this is an important move for them to can strengthen what they call bilateral cooperation with Beijing. And this is at the back foot, you'll recall, of FOCAC, the Forum of China and Africa conference in 2025, where China has emphasized this issue of a zero tariff. Even if we know last year America brought us what you call the global traffic of tariffs in many African countries, particularly in the SADC region.
Advocate Mantula, let's move then to South Africa and Zambia. We've been watching the story, of course, in the last couple of weeks as it's found itself back in the courts. That legal confrontation then expected to unfold today.
Sis Cathy, this is very important because the outcome of today will have to determine the immediate control, final disposition of Lungu's remains, and the issue of post-mortem that has been the issue. Mulilo Kabesha, the Attorney General of Zambia, is the one pushing, saying that when this order was made, actually they were not even aware. So in law, they say they are doing what we call reconsideration of the application, challenging the agent order that was pushed by the family. So this is a long-standing issue, Katie. Like I said, others are calling in Zambia, why are they not pushing out of court settlement? Others are saying, but there is no rest in peace whatsoever. Even if a person has passed on, there is still tension between the state as well as the family. And that's where we'll see how it will pan out. And we know SABC will be coming live of giving that outcome of the Pretoria High Court between the government of Zambia and the family of Edgar Lungu.
Yeah, the concerning thing is that, if these matters are not resolved soon, it's going to be a year very soon since he passed away. Well, let's stay with some of the developments within our borders. Kemi Seba, you've been talking to us about him for the last couple of weeks as well. The activist from Benin.
That is quite true. The matter yesterday has been reminded again back next month on the 11th of May for bail application. Remember, Kemi Sebi is the Benin activist, a Pan-Africanist who has been charged on issues of inciting rebellion after a Beijing coup attempt in Benin, December 2025. His lawyers are still maintaining that he's applying now for political asylum because it seems the charges are moving to and fro. We are not certain about the charges now, as the lawyers are saying, but the matter has been put back to court again, 11th of May in Pretoria High Court.
Well, taking a look down memory lane, as it were, into our historical archive, 30th of April 1982. What happened on this day?
Katie, I'm taking listeners back ago on the memory lane of a meeting between President P.W. Botha and the Zambian former President Kenneth Kaunda, KK. That was important meeting that was engaging on many issues of Southwest Africa. But let us allow listeners to take this clip that was made almost in 1977 when KK was hitting on John Foster as well on Ian Smith.
Smith is a rebel. He will always remain a rebel. He will go down in history as a rebel, a killer, a murderer. The only reason why he's still there is that he's white. That's the only reason why he's there. If Smith had been black, the day he declared UDI, he would have received British troops that have arrested him and charged him with treason, tried him, and hanged him. We in Zambia do not accept voters' decision to make Walvis Bay, which is part and parcel of Namibia, as part and parcel of South Africa. We don't accept that.
Since you could hear how KK, the late Kaunda, having very clear about the question of the occupation of Walvis Bay, which is a Namibian port. It was occupied by the then apartheid South Africa. That meeting that happened today, actually, they say it took only 4 hours, but it only produced a communique of just 4 sentences. So there was nothing that came out really out of that meeting of minds. But KK was still blazing. So you can look from the late 70s to the early 80s, still engaging apartheid South Africa. Asante sana Sisketi, that's what's still leading the conversation. SAFM observing the Freedom Month.
The East London IDZ, an entity of the Eastern Cape Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism, presents the Eastern Cape Digital Economy Summit 2026, taking place from the 7th to the 8th of May at IDZ Conference Center, bringing together leaders, investors, innovators, and technology partners to shape the province's digital future. Investors ready to tap into the digital growth? Your next opportunity starts here. East London IDZ, business streamlined.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAfmRadio.
It's 6:45. You're listening to the National Briefing. Let's get then into this story. Makudu Sefara, until Tuesday, editor of the Sunday Times and chairperson of the South African National Editors Forum, has stepped aside on both fronts after the Special Investigating Unit linked his company, Unscripted Communication, to 550,000 rand in payments from a National Lotteries Commission grant now under investigation. The original grant, 1.5 million rand, was intended for a journalism training project. The SIU saying that the money was diverted. Mr. Sefara denies any wrongdoing and says he ran a legitimate workshop at the Birchwood Hotel and is accusing the SIU of grandstanding. Arena and SANAF have both appointed independent legal teams and investigators to look into the matter. The story was broken by Ground Up, who's been pursuing these concerns since 2019. Nathan Geffen is the editor of Ground Up. He joins me on the line. Good morning, Nathan. Thank you for your time this morning. Look, this matter seems to have been playing itself out in the background for a number of years. What has been at the heart of the concerns, or rather the red flags that you identified?
Morning, Cathy. So I just want to make one correction there. We didn't break the story this week. That was the SIU published a press statement. So everybody got that at the same time. And in fact, we weren't aware of this particular allegation until the SIU published it. So in 2023, we raised concerns with SANAF. When I say we, myself and a few other people, including Anton Harbour, the founder of what was then the Weekly Mail. We raised concerns with SANAF about the disproportionate amount of advertising that the Sunday World had been receiving from the National Lotteries Commission. When we say disproportionate, a much greater share of the lottery's advertising spend went to the Sunday World than was justified by their readership. And at the same time, the Sunday World was running puff pieces about the lottery, and it was also attacking Ground Up for uncovering corruption in the lottery. And we raised concerns about this with SANAF, with the South African National Editors Forum, and the fact that at the time, Makudu was a member of the management committee of SANAF. And we asked SANAF to have an inquiry into this. Our concerns were rebuffed. I subsequently resigned from SANAF. And about a year or so later, rather than taking any of our concerns into account, SANAF elected Makudu to be their chairperson. So what worries us about this is that SANAF showed a disregard for our concerns. Now, it's quite possible that Makudu is innocent of all the allegations that he's facing. That's not the point. The point is that this stuff needs to be investigated. It should have been investigated years ago. And he certainly shouldn't have been appointed the editor of the Sunday Times or made the chair of SANAF while these allegations were hanging over his head.
Did SANAF not investigate the matter?
No. They refused to. We asked SANAF, Anton Harbour wrote a letter to SANAF asking them to investigate the way advertising from the National Lotteries Commission was being spent, and he specifically mentioned Makudu's name in it. He specifically mentioned the Sunday World, which Makudu had edited in, I think, approximately 2019. And SANAF, there was a big debate in SANAF. I was there. In fact, there were several debates in SANAF, and one got particularly angry. One debate got very angry, and basically it was made clear that there would be no inquiry. And after that, I left SANAF.
I'm interested in the angle, Nathan, that you're putting forward this morning, because you are linking advertising spend towards Sunday World, you're linking that to this story, which of course then means that we are to make certain inferences. What are you inferring here in as far as the monies he received for this training project, the advertising spend that was put towards the Sunday World at that time?
So this was all linked to the lottery. And Makudu was the editor of the Sunday World at the time. And the lottery was spending money. Effectively, our concern. Let me articulate it this way. Effectively, our concern is that the lottery was paying the Sunday World in order to get favorable publicity. That was our concern. Now, perhaps the Sunday World and perhaps Makudu can disprove this. But the point is that the evidence was there that something was rotten, something was not right. And there needed to be an inquiry about this back in 2023 when we raised our concerns about this. And all that this week's story has shown is that Makudu's relationship with the lottery extended further than we were even aware of. And obviously, if the SIU is investigating him, he has to step aside until those allegations against him are cleared.
So, Nathan, if we look at Makudu's statement, right, he talks about how in 2018 he ran this firm, Unscripted Communication. This event was held in December 2018. And at the time, he was not the editor of the Sunday World.
Correct. He joined the Sunday World thereafter, and the Sunday World thereafter started getting more and more money from the lottery. So it raised. We're not saying that Makudu is guilty of anything. What we are saying is that there are allegations against him, and there are concerns about his relationship with the lottery and Sunday World's relationship with the lottery, and they need to be investigated. And they should have been investigated way back in 2023. So our primary concern is not so much over the individual Makudu, it's over the way institutions like the Sunday Times and SANEF have handled these allegations against him. Okay. Now, this allegation that came out this week is new, but there were other allegations which we wanted investigated way back in 2023.
Okay. Nathan, we're going to have to leave it there for this morning. Nathan Geffen, he is with Ground Up. He's the editor there.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Just an update on Heidelberg. The road is open and it is clear. Just speaking to motorists that have driven through that section. It was closed earlier this morning when we were doing our first early crossings of the First Take show. It was closed, but it has subsequently been reopened. No major issue through that Heidelberg area. The incident that unfolded last night with the trucks being attacked and set on fire was just north of Heidelberg. Crash involving a bus and a truck going into Richards Bay this morning near Foscor on the R34 John Ross Highway. Durban, a breakdown just after Pavilion Mall, heading out towards the Paradise Valley, and a breakdown on the N2 South before Spaghetti Junction, probably the first of many today, already having a delay impact. And Cape Town, if you're turning off the busy N1 inbound onto Plattekloof Road, it's quite a heavy backlog this morning, working through towards Rothschild Boulevard. Rob Byrne, SAfm Traffic.
This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
All right, you're listening to the National Briefing 6:54. I'll take your reactions, right, to the story then related to the SANEF chair, Makudu Sefara. He stepped down now, but of course these are serious allegations. And also, what do you read of the inference, right, that is being made by Nathan Geffen? Of course, it's one thing for a perception, right, for something to look a particular way. It's another to be able to prove that in fact this is what happened, and perhaps the investigation is what is going to provide answers. That these stories that Ground Up is saying were puff pieces, these stories that were written in particular to try and drag their name through the mud. Now perhaps is the time to go back into the archive and see exactly what the Sunday World was doing at the time. So let's get into this story now. According to the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health, more than 28,000 girls between the ages of 15 and 19 fell pregnant in the previous financial year. 421 of those pregnancies involved children between the ages of 10 and 14. This morning we tried to unpack and understand what this is telling us about the lives that these children are growing up in. The Health MEC Nomagugu Simelane has been clear that under South African law, any pregnancy in a child under 12 is rape. For girls aged 12 to 15, the law allows only a narrow consent within a tight age band. Beyond that, it is considered statutory rape. I'm joined now by counseling psychologist Tolintla Dlamini Ngoya, who is our guest on the story. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. Firstly, if we're to try and understand what these numbers are revealing to us about the lives of a 12-year-old who finds herself pregnant, what is it that this young child is carrying?
Good morning, Cathy and the listeners. I battle to prepare for this topic because really it feels like I'm speaking from a point of privilege. Because from where we're sitting and where we at in the neighborhoods, on the suburbs, that we hardly see what we speak about on the radios and what the stats are saying. But just drive down the road where you see just groups of young people that are pregnant going to school, and then you ask yourself, where are we missing here? It really just clears out the difference of the lifestyle that we are living as the communities. And you look at this young child that has anxiety, that is depressed, that is scared, that has the stigma around her being pregnant, and nobody is speaking about who has impregnated her. We speak about teenage mothers, but hardly do we speak about teenage fathers, or hardly do we speak about the rapes that has caused these young kids to be pregnant and this rate of pregnancy to be so high. So I feel like these kids are just in the dark. They are alone. They are scared. Are experiencing something that is so foreign in their bodies. All of a sudden, you are carrying a child, something that you as an adult is so scary, and you don't know how to navigate around it. Now there is this young body that still needs to go to school. We have to look at where are the parents. The parents have left home at 4:30 to catch the train to go to work. And who's looking after these kids? It's these uncles that are not working, or is it the fathers, is it the stepfathers, the grandfathers that are impregnating these kids? Those are the topics that we're not having, and we're focusing on what are the kids doing.
The important thing that you touched on there, and it was also raised by the MEC about where some of these interventions need to happen. And she pointed, primarily to the home. But there's, of course, a broader conversation about the structure of our homes in this country and the brokenness that is in those homes.
But isn't it a systematic problem? Because this is the system problem. Because as I'm saying, we're talking about homes. And generally, if we're talking about homes, then we should be talking about everybody. But we're talking about the numbers in the townships and in the rural areas. Who goes there and gives the knowledge? The other time I was called to be a speaker in the rural area, and I thought, I'm going to tell these parents, speak to your kids about sexual education and all of those things. The mothers were crying. They were teenage mothers themselves. They had nobody to speak to them. These topics are frowned upon. They don't know how to call a private part. They don't know how to say to a child, do not have sex, because they were teenage mothers themselves, and nobody was there to say anything. So we need to really tap into the actual problem and go to where the problems are. Because as we're speaking now, who's privy to this interview? The children that are driving with their parents to school, but the children that are at the back of Malume's van, they're not going to have this information. And when we do the interviews, we talk about stats, and stats are about the numbers that were taken either from the internet, or if I were to give you my educated view of what is happening, I will miss the whole point. The point is, no one is looking at the poverty that is happening back there. No one is looking at, the level of education as to what is this doing. I mean, if we look at the issue of if we're going to deal with poverty. Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. But Tolin Kantla, I'm going to have to pause us there. We've come to the end of our time. And it is such an important issue. And I wonder for parents, teachers, neighbors listening this morning, what is the one thing that you think can be done which can actually help in a situation like this? It's 7 o'clock. Chanduko is standing by.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
Thank you, Cathy. The top stories at this hour. Chukudu Malachi returns to Madlanga Commission this morning and President Ramaphosa to lead talks on water challenges. Good morning. I am Chanduko Ligege. The suspended director of asset protection in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chukudu Malachi, will return to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning in Pretoria. He'll be grilled on allegations of security tender corruption, failure to declare business interests and wasteful expenditure. Malachi also admitted to receiving a full salary during his suspension, which was effected in July last year. Sibahle Mota reports.
Chukudu Malachi is expected to continue his testimony at the Madlanga Commission relating to a multi-million rand tender at the city of Tshwane. The Commission has previously heard that Malachi failed to comply with an instruction to halt ad hoc security services at the city, resulting in expenditure of approximately 14 million rand. The TMPD multi-million rand tender remains under scrutiny with 3 companies of particular interest, namely Gubi's 85 Solutions, Ngapesheya Security, and Triotic Protection Services. I am Sibahle Mota in Pretoria.
The acting National Police Commissioner, Puleng Dimpane, has outlined her commitment to carrying out President Cyril Ramaphosa's crime-fighting instructions. She says the instructions include prioritizing the fighting of corruption, organized crime and gang-related violence. Dimpane addressed Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police yesterday.
The President provided a comprehensive roadmap of crime-related challenges and planned responses in the 2026 State of the Nation Address, which provides direction for key departments within the justice, crime prevention and security cluster, the criminal justice system, including the South African Police Service. A total of 8 crime-related key results, areas and issues were specified, Chair, all of which requires a direct response from the SAPS in collaboration with key JCPS cluster departments. The President also gave an indication of the manner in how these responses to the crime-related challenges should be addressed.
Tackling the country's water crisis will top the agenda of President Cyril Ramaphosa's meeting with relevant leaders from all 3 spheres of government at the Presidential Coordinating Council in Boksburg, Ekurhuleni, this morning. The President announced the establishment of the National Water Crisis Committee earlier this year in response to the ongoing water challenge. Various stakeholders will attend the meeting. Presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya.
The extended PCC meeting will discuss immediate interventions aimed at stabilizing water systems while adopting short to long-term sustainability instruments to ensure infrastructure resilience, improved governance, and a culture of accountability founded on promoting responsible water use among citizens.
Serious allegations have emerged at a hospital in Madadeni in KwaZulu-Natal, where a medical doctor accused of sexually assaulting 4 female patients has been arrested. The alleged assaults took place between August last year and April this year. The doctor was arrested after the patients reported incidents of being touched inappropriately. KwaZulu-Natal police spokesperson Robert Nechunda.
The suspect will allegedly touch the victims inappropriately on their breast and private parts, and also allegedly forced some of them to perform sexual acts on him. The victims complained to a whistleblower who anonymously alerted the police. The FS detectives operationalized the tip-offs, and after cases were opened, investigations unfolded, leading to the arrest of the suspect. Should other victims come forward with reports of sexual assault and open cases, more charges will be added. The suspect is likely to appear before the Modern Magistrate Court on Thursday, 30 April.
The Zambian government and the family of the late former president Edgar Lungu are set to face off in the High Court in Pretoria today. The Zambian government has filed a reconsideration application to challenge the recent urgent order in which the court directed it to return Lungu's remains to a private mortuary. Lungu died in June last year at the age of 68. He had developed complications following surgery. Kenny Mapanga reports.
The order was granted on an urgent basis just hours after the Zambian government executed the August 2025 Gauteng High Court judgment that entitled it to repatriate former President Lungu's remains for the purpose of a state funeral and burial. The Zambian government charges that the Lungu family obtained the order in its absence and further cited material non-disclosures to support its bid, which include the lapse of the SCA appeal, the release of the remains to SAPS, and the subsequent probe into the circumstances surrounding his death. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
A recap on the top story at this hour. The suspended Director of Asset Protection in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chukudu Malachi, will return to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. For SAFM News, I am Chanduko Ligege.
OUTsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
You may or may not know the difference between a timing belt and a timing chain, but you do know a great OUTsurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if OUTsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. OUTsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, we recap the soccer action from last night with Kaizer Chiefs stunned by Siwelele as their unbeaten run comes to an end. And we head to the Madrid Open Masters tennis action where Yannick Sinner is through as he takes down the rising star Rafael Hoda. We'll have the details around 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. The N3 through Heidelberg remains open this morning. The incident that's currently being widely shared on social media actually happened at 10:30 last night. The road was closed overnight but reopened just after 5:30 this morning. So the N3 moving nicely through there, and normally it should be stressed. Coming through Pretoria, earlier crash on Steve Biko at De Beer. Looks like that's probably cleared. You've just got the usual sort of backlog coming through that Van der Boom Pass area. Durban, the first of today's breakdowns on the N2 South before you get to Spaghetti Junction, queuing pressure back through Umgena Road. Quite a heavy backlog going north as well on the N2 from just after the M7 through towards the roadworks at Westwood Mall, and a breakdown further up on the N2 going into Gateway, causing a backlog from Komashu Highway. Cape Town, N1 into town, a crash by Sable Road and no traffic lights. Marine Drive at Boundary Road causing a big backlog coming through from Milnerton. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
Nine after 7 o'clock, welcome to the second hour of the National Briefing as we get you ready as you step into your day. Coming up on the show this hour, hundreds of protesters marched on the Gauteng legislature yesterday demanding action on illegal immigration. We'll speak to the leader of March and March. Later, we also look at the harder question underneath these protests. Are they about jobs and resources, or about something that is a bit more uncomfortable to name in this moment. Also this hour, he was fined 600,000 Rand, escorted onto the 6:45 p.m. flight straight to Harare. We'll bring you the latest on Robert Mugabe's son, Bellarmine's deportation. And in our daily slot, the reality check, Terry Tselane, former IEC deputy chairperson and now chairperson of EMSA, continues his reflections and insights on elections. All of that coming up in the next hour. The conversation, as always, it belongs to you. The numbers to use for our studio line, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages. We're looking forward to hearing from you as we get into the second hour of the National Briefing.
The East London IDZ, an entity of the Eastern Cape Department of Economic Development, Environmental Affairs and Tourism, presents the Eastern Cape Digital Economy Summit 2026, taking place from the 7th to the 8th of May at IDZ Conference Center, bringing together leaders, investors, innovators, and technology partners to shape the province's digital future. Investors ready to tap into the digital growth? Your next opportunity starts here. East London IDZ, business streamlined.
You are listening to the National Briefing with Cathy Mohlahlana.
More than 500 protesters gathered at Mary Fitzgerald Square in Newtown yesterday and marched through Johannesburg to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature. They were led by the civic movement March and March, joined this time by Action SA and the Inkatha Freedom Party. They handed Premier Panyaza Lesufi a memorandum and gave him 7 days to respond. The day before, they handed a similar memorandum to the union buildings. Their demands: stricter visa enforcement, a review of asylum policy, sanctions against businesses employing undocumented workers, and a state of emergency in hotspots, including Hillbrow. The leaders there saying, we want our country back. Well, let's unpack a part of these proceedings with the leader of March and March, Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. She joins us on the line. Jacinta, good morning to you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning, Cathy. Thank you so much for the invite.
During his Freedom Day address, President Cyril Ramaphosa warned South Africans to stand against xenophobia. He also further said that legitimate concerns must not become prejudice against fellow Africans. So there's a risk that he is pointing to around these protests that we're seeing tipping into xenophobia. For March and March, where is that line, and how do you make sure your members don't cross it?
Look, for us, we always make sure our members don't cross it because at all our marches, all our operations, there's always police presence. So I'm sure if the president trusts his own South African police service members, then he shouldn't have a problem with us exercising our rights with the police present.
To the extent that what we have seen, and I'll start off with KZN last week because we covered that aspect of the protest. In that protest, you also had individuals who were part of the protesters approaching people, asking them their names or asking them to say something, and then profiling them based on their accents, sometimes based on how they look. And that then it triggered conflict between protesters and members of society that were in that area during the protest.
I don't think there's been such an incident where such a thing has happened and people were profiled, etc. Like I mentioned before, what I know is that our members always have the police present, and when there's an illegal immigrant
that obviously they can hear from the language spoken. They take that person to the police to verify their documents, as it has been happening with many of our operations.
If you look at the coverage and the reporting of that protest that took place in KZN, we also had listeners that were part of that protest that got in touch. What you're saying is simply not the case. And the reason why I'm saying it so affirmatively is because even the premier of the province tried to take that position and people rejected it. That is not the experience of people on the ground.
I'm not okay. I'm just trying to answer you in a correct manner, but I'm not sure what do you mean is not the correct sentiments, and what is it based on?
So it's based on people that were in the KZN CBD when the protest took place. And individuals that were being profiled and individuals that were being harassed because they had been identified as not being South African.
Well, we don't know of such an incident. That's what I'm saying to you. We always
and
have
I'm
the
saying
police.
That I'm surprised that
can
you
I
don't
finish
know
what I'm
about
saying,
it because
Cathy?
it's been widely
Cathy,
publicized.
Cathy, can I finish what I'm saying, dear? So I'm saying with every single protest and with the cleanup that we had in Durban, I must emphasize that in Durban, what was happening was a cleanup. It wasn't a protest, first of all. With that cleanup, we cleaned from Thursday until Friday, this Friday that we come from. And the members were there with gloves, they were there with face masks, with brooms, etc., etc. Now, what happened to lead to the incident where Ngizwe and them ended up showing up is because one of them, during the cleanup, which was a Thursday, one of the members had been beaten up by foreign nationals who said that they're tired of them cleaning the streets. There's video evidence of this, of them even coming in numbers to attack her. There's even a case number that we've opened at the police station. Her name is Teresa Notki. Now, when that happened, there was no racial profiling of anyone, because what happened from there is that a fight broke out between people who were part of the protest, because the men decided to come after that to the cleanup to make sure that nobody is going to tell people in South Africa not to clean up their country. That's what happened. And then from there, when they moved, they went and they had an altercation at the workshop in Durban with a gentleman who was hit by the members, unfortunately so, because this particular gentleman, Umjwaga is his surname, had stolen cell phones from people, had tried to steal cell phones, from people who were part of the protest. That is the incident that happened. And until today, Cathy, there's not a single incident of someone who's opened a case who said that they have been assaulted or harassed, etc. So I'm talking about a case that's been opened that started this entire incident. I can even give you the case number. So if someone calls in and says, it's just wrapping up. So if someone calls in and said they were assaulted or whatever, they've got a right to go to the police station and open a case, because I still insist there were police present at this particular cleanup and protest on that one day.
So Jacinta, based on what you have just described, do you acknowledge that at some point during the protest, not necessarily yesterday, but we'll reference and stay with the example of KZN, that things do get beyond what you are able to control?
I think from the incident that I've mentioned, Cathy, the things that got out of control is when foreign nationals ganged up on a woman, and I can send you this video as evidence and proof, and beat her up on the street.
Retaliatory
no,
action,
that's what I'm saying to you. But this is what I'm trying to.
Are also
but this is what I'm trying
things
to
that you're
explain.
able to manage.
But you see, Cathy, this is what I'm trying to explain. That in my explanation, I did mention that there's only one video evidence and one incident that we know of a person that was beat up, and that is from that guy from Utwaha from Guamash. If there's any foreign national, and I repeat this again, who says that they were assaulted because of retaliation, We are willing to hear that from the police when they give us a case number. We are willing to hear that from the police because they were there. That is what I'm trying to explain here, that you cannot simply just say a person called in and say they were profiled or they were hit, because we know there's a lot of people, obviously, or even against the movement, who would say whatever.
Okay.
But I'm talking about something I can give you a case number for. That's what I'm saying.
The African Commission on Human and People's Rights has warned that the rhetoric they're seeing coming out of these protests is enabling and leading to vigilantism. How do you respond to that?
Well, we are well, I think we're not even amazed to hear that. But what I'd like to hear from all of these organizations, all of these unions, etc., is that they are worried about the drugs that are on the streets. They're worried about the people who are dying at the expense of opening their tuck shops in their communities. They're worried about the children dying from eating poisoned food in tuck shops. They are worried about the amount of crime that's happening at the hands of undocumented people. And as you saw with the recent statistics that prove a point that we've been saying all along, where they say in Gauteng, 60% of all serious crime is committed by people who are undocumented. And these are the things that they need to worry about. You can't be worrying about something because it doesn't or it fits your narrative. If you're being truthful, if there's recent statistics that have been released by the police, Cathy, it was all over the news, my dear.
Okay.
The statistics say 60%. You can go and Google this while I'm speaking to you. 60% of all organized serious crime in Gauteng is committed by undocumented people, which is something that we have been saying all along. And it's part of the concerns that we've been having, because when even the Minister of Correctional Services is complaining about the number of foreigners that he has in his prisons, etc., etc. I mean, there's even a statistics with names from the police that say that 6 of the 9 kingpins in the drug business are Nigerians, 6 of the 9 provinces. So it's only 3 provinces that have South Africans as drug kingpins, and the rest of that business is run by Nigerians. These are statistics that should be worrying the entire country.
So, Jacinta, to what end then are these protests? What is your end game?
Our end game is when the government has a proper plan to enforce our immigration laws and enforce our labor laws and enforce our laws when it comes to the safety and well-being of South Africans, and also taking care of South Africans, making sure that they are put first. Our end game is making sure that every South African child is in school and is not sitting at home because they don't have access to school. Our end game is making sure that all cases that involve children, for example, that we're sitting with right now, which I can tell we've got a number of parents who've come to us. Their children have their documents or IDs stolen by people who are foreign nationals. Some of them are complaining that their children have been involved in incidents of molestation or rape from Pakistani nationals. This is something that we're dealing with currently. We've got a number of people who've come forward to us to get assistance with their homes being hijacked. It's a whole lot of crimes that we're sitting with right now, trying to deal with, and we're asking the government to intervene. We sit with the government in meetings. We don't only march. So we have an idea of what the law says, and we're doing everything within the confines of the law.
Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, let's leave it there, leader of March and March. Listening in on that conversation, Situlego Matebisi, professor and head of the Department of Sociology. Professor Matebisi, when you look at these protests, you've heard Jacinta articulate what they are about. Do you have any particular concerns?
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to your wonderful listeners. I've got many concerns, and on both sides of the spectrum, both on the side of the government and the protesters themselves, or the civic organizations that advance these protests. First of all, you cannot blame any civic organization now inventing a space, and in our academia we call this invented and uninvented or invited spaces, and this is definitely an invented space where a civic organization have looked at the situation and right or wrongly, and engaged government, and as the have also indicated, we also have proved that they did in the past engage with the government of the day and then decided perhaps going the protest route is the right way. But I also like what you ask, and we've seen that with every single little protest, whether it's a service delivery protest. A protest leader will never be able to have control over the protest situation. And that for me is a problem where, for instance, sometimes even those that are not part of the protest will join and then advance criminality, looting and all that. And that is one thing that I think some of the civic organizations that lead these protests should check, because that can easily then lead to what perhaps they do not want to, and where some of these xenophobic sentiments will come up from. And
Sorry, Professor Matebisi. One of the things that we are seeing, and that is perhaps reflecting what is happening more broadly in society, is that there is a sense that there's an absolute failure of being able to deal with the question of undocumented migrants. And it feels like we keep seeing iterations and repetitions of the same patterns of behaviors right through from about 2008 to now. The script has been the same, but there seems to be a paralysis of sort in terms of how we begin to do something different as a country.
yes, there has been attempts, and I mean, we've seen now during the Easter holidays from his border management, but these are always, it's very surprising. It seems as if we South Africans want something to become quite a chaotic situation, and it's only then that we respond to that situation. And the issue of illegal immigrants, Cathy, it is really painful for many communities. Are communities, and there's documented scientific research that have been conducted to say what are the dangers of illegal immigration. And unfortunately, if the government of the day, together with civil society, do not respond to the situation, we will reach a situation where really it's going to become untenable, and that will not good look for you. Yes, and I can concur with you. We talk about this, and this is now reaching quite heights. And immediately, or it depends on what's going to come out of all these, and then the whole debate and situation will just die down, and then 2-3 years again spiral out of control again, and that is not a way that you deal with such a sensitive thing, because it has huge reputational damage, consequences for South Africa, but it also has consequences for many South Africans.
Absolutely. Professor Situlego Matebisi, at the heart of it is this concern raised by South Africans that they're simply not being heard, at least not being heard enough for that to lead to tangible action. Well, let's move on to this story now. He was fined 600,000 rand and last night deported back to his home country of Harare. That is Robert Mugabe's son, Bellarmine, somebody who was on the ground at OR Tambo as he left, was senior reporter at SABC News, Crisalda Lewis. Crisalda, it seemed to be quite a chase at OR Tambo last night. Tell us about those last few moments of Bellarmine in the country.
Well, good morning to you and your team, Cathy. Great to speak to you again. Obviously, this would come as great relief to Mugabe, who's been, incarcerated since that incident back in February at Hyde Park. This is the shooting of Sipho Mahlangu, the security guard, but not such great relief for Tobias Motonote. But of course, it was bound to be a chase to OR Tambo International Airport, given the basis that the court had ordered that he be immediately deported once he had paid the 600,000 rand fine. But Cathy, that's not all. In total, since the debacle started in February, he's had to part with R1 million because this is 600,000 rand for the fine that he had to pay yesterday, which was quite speedily paid. And then, of course, the 400,000 rand, which was paid to the victim, Sipho Mahlangu, who subsequently withdrew the case against Belaman Mugabe as well as Tobias Matanote. And indeed, quite a lot of fanfare to see how the process would be, expedited because it was the court's order that he leave South Africa with immediate effect. So they had plans in place to ensure that once he was released, he was to be processed by the Department of Home Affairs, given the fact that he was illegal in South Africa. And off Belaman Mugabe was to his home country, Zimbabwe.
Criselda, the question that maybe has not been answered satisfactorily, even though the court has come to a conclusion, is his cousin taking the fall for him?
And in fact, Cathy, this is a question that we'd asked since the very beginning. If you recall in the multiple conversations that we had with Sinenhlanhla Mguni, who is Mugabe's lawyer, we asked him whether Matanote was taking the fall for his cousin, Belaman Mugabe, because remember, on the day that the incident took place, indeed, I was the first reporter on the scene, and we arrived, there were police officers there. I asked whether, because if you have a Tobias Matanote who has pleaded guilty to attempted murder, it basically means that he is admitting to having pulled the trigger on that particular day. And the question then is, remember, once there is an incident involving a firearm, there needs to be gunshot would need to be tested on the hands of the individuals believed to have been involved in the incident. We did ask those questions, but it tells you on its own, and this is also something that was raised by the presiding magistrate yesterday. He literally said before he was going to hand down the sentence to for Matanote, he said to him, I don't know if you are taking the fall for Mugabe, but the court has had to look at what was before it and who pleaded guilty to what. Matanote pleaded guilty to attempted murder, which essentially says, I am the one who pulls the trigger. And you've also got a victim who has gone completely silent. It is not that the media has not paid attention to trying to get to speak to him. The media tried, even from the point, Cathy, where he had been admitted to hospital on the very day that he'd been shot, the constant communication to police about, has he been discharged? What is his condition? It was a very quick in hospital, under private security, and then he was discharged from the hospital. And I must say, from the multiple attempts that were made to get hold of him, he was not going to talk. Obviously, in this instance, he didn't want the case to proceed, and he took the money. Plain.
Criselda Lewis, let's leave it there. It's time for your latest news headlines. Chanduko, good morning.
Thank you, Cathy. Good morning. Oil prices are surging relentlessly, touching their highest point since the US-Israel war on Iran began at the end of February. The suspended director of asset protection in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chukudu Malachi, will return to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. And the Germiston Regional Court, east of Johannesburg, has sentenced a man to 5 years imprisonment after being found guilty of extortion. I'll be back at 8 with a full bulletin.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good Morning. We're still fielding a lot of calls and a message about the state of the N3 at Heidelberg following last night's truck fire attack, or truck attack, which resulted in burning trucks. It's all open. The N3 just north of Heidelberg, where that incident unfolded, has been cleared and the road is open. Normal flows through there. Pretty light traffic day around Joburg, with the exception of the N3 north from Albert and Germiston on your way through to Bedfordview. It remains heavy this morning as a result of those lane closures. Durban got breakdowns, one on the N2 north before Spaghetti Junction. That's causing a backlog coming through from the M7. Another broken down just before Gateway. So there's a bit of a sluggishness on that run up towards the airport this morning. And the M7's heavy going into Pinetown queues from Hunt Stepman through to St John's Avenue. Cape Town, no traffic lights. Marine Drive at Boundary. That's Lagoon Beach. That's heavy in from Milnerton. Crash on the N1 inbound at Sable Road, causing delays coming off Plattercliff Hill and Plattercliff Road, heading west through Plattercliff down towards that sort of shopping centre area. Very slow on your way, sort of trying to get through to the N7 and Tableview area. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai Khan, the Chiefs coach, is admitting that they're dealing with a bit of a Soweto derby hangover.
Yes, Cathy, Soweto derby hangover is what he's dubbing it. But you know what? Chiefs better recover quickly from that hangover. They've got Sundowns next. So yeah, that's how it's looking for Chiefs at the moment. Their coach admitting to that hangover from the derby. He says it played a role in their 2-0 defeat to Siwelele in Bloemfontein last night. Amakosi, fresh off that 1-1 draw with Orlando Pirates, struggled to find rhythm as they handed the host control. Chiefs now remain third on the log, but their top three cushion has narrowed, with their coach highlighting consistency and mentality as key areas to improve ahead of their next clash against the leaders, Mamelodi Sundowns. Speaking of Sundowns, they're back on top of the Premiership after a 1-0 win over Polokwane City at the Seshego Stadium. Sundowns dominated proceedings but had to remain patient before breaking through, and it was Lebo Motiba providing the assist. Motiba later missed a Panenka penalty, but it mattered little, the Brazilian securing a vital 3 points in the title race. Staying with football, former Sundowns performance analyst Mario Marsha has found a new home under Pitso Mosimane. The highly respected analyst, who was part of the multiple title-winning setup, is now assisting at the Pitso Mosimane Youth Football Project while awaiting his next top-flight opportunity. Mosimane believes Marsha's experience and expertise remain valuable to the game.
I said, well, when the big team comes, please go. But at this point in time, you're allowed to come here and help and support. You have worked at a high level. You have worked with me. You have worked with Rulani. You have worked with Cardoso. So you have enough experience to give this to these boys. Do your match analysis like we do at Premier League, and let's raise the bar. So coaches like Mario are there. We also brought our coach, who comes from our FCs, is now here.
Let's go to cricket, where South Africa's Heinrich Klaasen stole the show with an unbeaten 65 as the Sunrisers Hyderabad pulled off a record chase against the Mumbai Indians at the Wankhede Stadium. Another South African, Ryan Rickelton, had a superb 123 on debut. He lifted Mumbai to a record 243 for 5, but Hyderabad responded in style. Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma laid the platform before Klaasen and Salil Alora powered to 249 for 4 with 8 balls to spare. The 6-wicket win moves Sunrisers up to third, while Mumbai's playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. And finally, tennis. World number 1 Yannick Sinner has powered into the Madrid Open semi-finals, extending his winning streak to 21 matches. The Italian defeated Rafael Hoda in straight sets. That's your sport. We'll serve it up some more on the National Briefing. I'm Zai Khan.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAFM.
It's 7:38. Ndauleng, good morning again. This could be a big one. Eskom South 32, they're eyeing a possible renewable power deal.
Morning, Cathy. You're absolutely right. Now, these talks come after Eskom, of course, passed through lower tariffs to ferrochrome players Salmon and Glencore Merafe. That, of course, is still waiting approval from the regulator, NERSA. But looking at that Eskom and South 32 deal, they really are developing a renewable energy solution to power South 32's hillside aluminium smelter beyond 2031 when its current discounted electricity agreement expires. The facility, the largest of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, has long relied on subsidized coal-based power to remain viable. The significance of this deal lies in its potential to secure the plant's future while aligning it with the country's energy transition. Without a new cost-effective power arrangement, operations and thousands of jobs they support would be at risk. Now, move toward renewable energy could ease strain on Eskom's grid, lower emissions, and offer a blueprint for how energy-intensive industries adjust in a carbon-constrained world. Now, moving over to some corporate news, what we know for sure, Cathy, is South Africans sure do love their chicken, and that appetite is translated into a sharp earnings rebound for Astral. The country's largest poultry producer expects interim headline earnings per share to surge by as much as 470%. The turnaround is being driven by a recovery in poultry prices after a prolonged period of deflation, combined with strong consumer demand that has lifted sales volumes. Higher production has also boosted its feed division, while softer input costs and cheaper grains have widened margins. Now, the company that houses brands like Goldie Chicken and Country Fair says its balance sheet remains solid, underpinned by disciplined cost control, with its low-cost producer strategy continuing to anchor its performance. Now, let's change focus now and look at what's playing out in markets. The JSE likely to start the last day of trade for the shortened week on a softer note, dragged by lower precious metal prices and higher oil prices, with Brent crude back above $120 a barrel this morning. Now, that's spilling over to currencies, with the rand on the back foot, edging closer to 17 to the dollar this hour. Versus the pound, it's at 22.74 and 19.21 to the euro. Across the globe, U.S. futures are in the red, despite positive earnings out of the tech sector, with geopolitics a major influence on sentiment. Lastly, in Asia, stocks are also downbeat on concerns over a potential extended U.S. blockade in Iran. That's your market brief for the week. I'll be back on Monday with developments in business and economics. I'm Ntauling Lechela for the National Briefing.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental dispute, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
No one gets fit overnight. It takes discipline, and your money is no different. A Nedbank 32-day notice account helps you build financial strength with up to 7.3% interest and zero maintenance fees. The higher the deposit, the higher the return. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. For more information, go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Neighbor to neighbor, Chomi, this one is for you. The time is now. If you are still using a Sasa Gold card, it's time to replace with a Postbank Black card. Visit a selected Postbank replacement site near you. Bring your ID and get your Postbank Black card. For general questions, call Postbank Customer Care on 0800 53 54 55. To find active replacement sites, dial *120 *355#. Postbank will never ask for your PIN. Terms and conditions apply.
You may or may not know the difference between a timing belt and a timing chain, but you do know a great Outsurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Reality check on the National Briefing.
Well, let's get into our reality check for this morning. Teritzelani continues the journey with us, the executive chairperson of the Institute of Election Management Services in South Africa. Mr. Tzelani, good morning to you. Thank you for your time again today. We've been walking a journey, and I think you've been sharing such important insights on the behind the scenes of elections. Today, you want to talk about an area that is a bit more complicated, which is that of seat allocations.
Absolutely. And good morning to you and to your listeners. And thank you very much for having me once again. The issue of seat allocation, it's an important one. And most of the time when we go to the elections, you find people raising this issue. And the common question that they ask, it's how many votes is a person supposed to have or a party supposed to have in order to be able to have a seat. And so they, under normal circumstances, would think that there is a specific number. Normally, they would use the number that was used in the previous elections, and then they would think that that is the number that would actually be used to make a determination whether a person gets a seat or a party gets a seat or not. So I'm suggesting that this is people who think like this are under a misapprehension that there is a specific number of votes that all the time would actually help you to get a seat. Sometimes if you say, for instance, in the previous elections, in general, a party required 40,000, then they would take those 40,000, divide it according to the number of votes that the party has, and then come to a conclusion. But that is erroneous because the seat allocation is not done that way. There is Schedule 3 in the Electoral Act. And in terms of this Schedule 3, this is how it is done. You take the total number of valid votes. In other words, you discount the issue of spoiled ballots, only focus on valid votes. And then once you've taken the total number of valid votes cast in that election, you divide that according to the number of available seats in that specific election. That will give you, so you take the total number of valid votes, divide that by the number of available seats, and then you plus 1, and that gives you a quota. And that quota is the one that we're going to be using for each and every political party. So you ignore firstly the fraction and only focus on the number that you are going to be getting. It is the number that then we use. You go to a political party, check how many votes that political party has received. You divide that by that quota that you would have received. And then that would then give you a number of seats that particular party would be entitled to. So you start with the one that has got the highest number of votes until you go to the lowest. And then once you have done that, you then go for, if you still have seats available, in other words, that have not been allocated as a result of that first system of seat allocation, you go to the second part, and that second part is that you now go to the fractions, and then you look at the highest number. You start ranking them. Every political party, starting with the one that received the highest number of votes after the fraction, you start now allocating that political party, those political parties, the seats that are still available. If after you've done that, there is still another seat that is available, you still follow the ranking process again. So To repeat again, you take the total number of valid votes, divide by the available seats in that particular election, plus 1, it gives you a quota. You use that quota to now divide all the votes that each and every political party has received. And that will indicate how many seats a political party will receive. And from there, when there's still seats available, you then go to the fraction and then you do now the ranking. So you can see that the first system that I mentioned, where people think that because you are entitled to particular number of votes, and then therefore if you've got this specific number, you are entitled to this particular number of seats, is going to be erroneous, because now when you come to the issue of ranking, a party that may not have necessarily received 40,000 votes, assuming that during the first allocation, indeed a party required 40,000. Now, when you go to the second section, which is that of the ranking, you may find that a party that did not get 40,000 is the one that actually ranks higher in terms after the fraction. And then that particular party then receives a seat. So this is a misunderstanding that has always been there during the elections, where people say that, but this particular party did not get 40,000. How was it entitled to a seat? It was not supposed to be getting a seat. The party that was supposed to get a seat is this one because it's got the highest number of votes. It's because they're using a wrong formula. The formula that they're supposed to use, it's a formula that is there in the Electoral Act, Schedule 3, and it is the one that actually helps in terms of the determination of the seats. And that's how ultimately a vote is converted into a seat.
Terry, it's almost like opening a Pandora's box this morning. I know just how big an issue this becomes, especially when it's around election time, and perhaps important for us to start having this conversation before we actually get into an election. Let me thank you so much for your time this morning on the Reality Check.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It's pretty easy right across Gauteng. The real standout is just that N3 North coming away from the Elands Interchange up through to Bedfordview into the lane restrictions at Heldnays. That's pretty heavy. Apart from that, it's not a bad run. The N1 looking good through Midrand. If you're leaving Pretoria, you've got a good clear run ahead of you. The N1 from Soweto up through Randburg towards Sunninghill, often jamming this time of morning, but that's fine as well. There are some delays on Witkoppen heading up towards Johannesburg North. If you're leaving North Riding on your way through to Fourways, that's quite heavy. And Malabongwe Drive going out from North Riding to Kaya Sand around the Boundary Road junction, that's quite heavy. There's faulty traffic lights out that side again. Today they've been out for a long time, and when they go out they really do cause some problems. If you're driving into Richards Bay, just watch for that crash on the John Ross Highway. A bus and a truck involved a little bit earlier just by Foscor, which is likely to cause some delays. The R102 coming from the Verulam area. By the time you get into Palmview, it's all backed up on your way down to Phoenix. All those breakdowns along the N2 have largely been cleared, with the exception of a breakdown before Gateway, so a bit of pressure on the run up towards the Slunga exit. Cape Town this morning, crash on the M1 inbound near Sable Road, so that's slow coming through from Plattekloof. Marine Drive has got no lights at Boundary Road, that's heavy from Milnerton down towards that Lagoon Beach junction, and Plattekloof Road from the N1 highway up towards the Van Rooyen up towards the shopping area there. Plattekloof Road direction west under heavy pressure. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Spar Winner Car is back. Stand a chance to win one of 50 Hyundai Extras when you buy participating products like 3 kg Sunlight hand wash powder for $79.99. Save 20 Rand. Or Huggies Dry Comfort Nappies or Pants Jumbo Pack, including Gold Value Pack for $169.99. Save 30 Rand. Price is valid from 22 April till 10 May. Shop, swipe and win while stocks last. Only at Spar. T's and C's apply.
Have you discovered the TV license WhatsApp yet? We see you, binging reruns, living for the drama, loving the SABC Plus sports replays. Now, paying your TV license fits the vibe. Simply say hi on WhatsApp to 077 6069 060. Get your balance, make a payment, or set up a debit order all in one chat. No queues, no please hold, just convenience that feels like it should have been here all along. Because every screen in South Africa is a stage and yours is lit. So why wait? Send hi on WhatsApp to 077 6069 060 and get your TV license sorted today. Hashtag your screen, your story.
Top Billing is back with a bold new chapter and fresh new faces leading the way. Get ready to experience the world of luxury travel design and inspiring stories with our dynamic new presenters, bringing their unique style, energy and perspective to every moment. The all-new season of Top Billing premieres on S3 Thursday, the 30th of April at 7 p.m. Repeats Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. on SABC1. Top Billing is back. You don't want to miss it.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAfmRadio.
You're listening to the national briefing. Yeah, the time just seems to be flying by this morning. The first hour of the show, we brought you the ground up editor, Nathan Geffen, who was speaking on the issue around the Sunday Times editor, Makudu Sefaro, and these allegations being made by the SIU. And he, of course, in that interview, spoke about the fact that he had raised this matter within SANEF, the National Editors Forum, and that it had been ignored. He said there was no investigation done by SANEF to look into the matter, which is part of why he ended up resigning from that organization. Well, joining us on the line this morning, seeking a right of reply, is SANEF Executive Director, Reggie Mwalusi. Reggie, good morning to you. So you want to respond to what Nathan Geffen said in the first hour of the show?
Good morning, Katie, and good morning to your listeners. Certainly, I'd like to respond to that because what Nathan Geffen said was rather misleading. He can't tell SAFM listeners that we didn't act, we didn't respond, because that's not true. And it's unfortunate that he had to go on air and lie like that, because Nathan knows very well that he engaged Professor Anton Haber so that for SANEF to look into an inquiry. And as such, the SANEF leadership at the time, the management committee, appointed that inquiry. And that inquiry consisted of Professor Guy Berger and Sbusiso Mgadi, who are two experienced journalists and are founding members of SANEF. And that report, it found that at the time, the dispute between Sunday World and Ground Up, that SANEF as an organization cannot involve itself in editorial interference. That was one of the key findings of that report. Further to that, Katie, it also found that we needed to amend our constitution when it comes to disputes within members, between members. And we have done that. That constitution, if you go to our website now, it's there, it's been amended. So for Nathan to come, as he's been doing for the past few days, and say we failed to act against Makudu and Sunday World at the time, and we failed to do anything, is rather misleading.
The allegation being made by Nathan is that there seemed to have been an improper relationship between Makudu Sefaro stemming from 2018 that then led into his interactions and working with the national lotteries when he was appointed the editor of the Sunday World. These can be very difficult things to try and prove. Is that part of what SANEF looked into at the time? And do you have a position on that as an organization?
No, we certainly do, Katie. We certainly do, and there's nothing confidential about the inquiry, the report itself that we will share publicly. But if I may, at the time when Nathan raised the issue of Makudu and the advertising in the Sunday world. The part of the reasons of what we debated and raised at the time is that, yes, he's looking at Makudu as the editor of the Sunday World at the time, but what he conveniently ignored was that before Makudu, there were other editors, and the NLC was still advertising in the Sunday World at the time, even before Makudu's appointment. Even after Makudu left Sunday World, Kitty, that advertising still went on, and Ground Up still continued to write those articles. So for him to say, at the time we failed to address this, and now there's this link, and and the advertising was only when Makudu was Sunday World editor, that's not true. That's misleading. We can go dig it up, and then you will see that other editors who were there, and it's unfair on them to mention their names, but they were there. Sunday World benefited from that advertising even before his time.
The question here, Reggie, becomes about one of accountability and to a certain extent, I guess, editorial integrity. All of these are springing out of the conversation. How do you deal with that as SANEF and perhaps give the public confidence that you as the watchdog are capable and are equally holding the other watchdogs accountable? Briefly, please.
We have always pushed for accountability, and we are not scared to be held accountable, Katie. And we are an organization based on integrity. And we know that as journalists, as editors, we are not beyond reproach. So that accountability is centered around SANEF's constitution, and we will always be accountable. And we are not scared to have those hard conversations. So people must not misrepresent facts and use that as SANEF lacking or SANEF refusing to account. It's not fair. Hence, we had to come on air and ask for this right of reply.
Reggie Mohlahlana, the Executive Director at SANEF. I wonder then what you make of that. It's 8 o'clock.
Outsurance Essential is made for older cars. Claims are paid in cash within 5 working days, and you choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
Thank you, Cathy. The top stories at this hour: oil prices surging relentlessly, and Chukudumalachi returns to Madlanga Commission this morning. Good morning, I am Chanduko Ligege. Oil prices are surging relentlessly, touching their highest point since the U.S.-Israel war on Iran began at the end of February. The benchmark Brent crude simply crossed a $120 a barrel mark amid concerns about how long the conflict will last. The BBC's Jonathan Josephs has the details.
President Trump met a group of energy executives, including Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, at the White House yesterday. Discussions included what steps could be taken to minimize the impact of higher oil prices on American consumers if the current US blockade on Iran continued for months. A White House official described the meeting as being part of the president's regular meetings with energy industry leaders. However, reports from Washington say the president has instructed aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iran.
Meanwhile, the impact of the rising fuel cost in South Africa is already being felt with the price of some essential food items. This is according to non-profit organization, the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. It has attributed this to the U.S.-Israel war on Iran. The organization's program coordinator, Mervyn Abrams, says with another fuel price hike on the cards, consumers are facing a further financial burden.
Between January and March of this year, we saw food prices stabilize and even coming down by a few percentages. But however, in April, we saw quite a large spike in the price of the cost of our basket. So the cost of our basket spiked by 2.3%, or in rand terms, 123 rand and 56 cents.
The Police and Prisons Civil Rights Union Pope Crew has called on its members to turn out in their numbers in support of COSATU rallies nationwide. The call comes on the eve of both National and International Workers' Day. Pop Crew spokesperson Richard Mamawulo.
We've got rallies on the 1st of May, which is this coming Friday across all provinces, with the main rally taking place in Polokwane at the Peter Mokaba Stadium. So we're urging our members to go out in their numbers. For us, well, May Day represents a global struggle for workers for dignity, fair wages, and safe working conditions.
The suspended director of asset protection in the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Chukudu Malachi, will return to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. He'll be grilled on allegations of security tender corruption, failure to declare business interests, and wasteful expenditure. Malachi also admitted to receiving a full salary during his suspension, which was effected in July last year. Sibahle Mota reports.
Chukuru Malachi is expected to continue his testimony at the Madlanga Commission relating to a multi-million rand tender at the city of Tshwane. The commission has previously heard that Malachi failed to comply with an instruction to halt ad hoc security services at the city, resulting in expenditure of approximately 14 million rand. The TMPD multi-million rand tender remains under scrutiny with 3 companies of particular interest, namely Gubi's 85 Solutions, Ngapesheya Security, and Triotic Protection Services. I am Sibahle Mota in Pretoria.
The Germiston Regional Court East of Johannesburg has sentenced a man to 5 years imprisonment. Ndumiso Bengu had been found guilty of extortion. This after he demanded 5,000 rand from a woman, claiming that one of her colleagues had approached him to arrange her murder. Bengu had first appeared in court in January last year when he was charged and eventually granted bail. Gauteng Hawk spokesperson Cathy Mohlahlana.
This conviction and sentencing emanate from a 2025 case where it was alleged that around January 2025, the accused Ndumiso Bengu contacted the complainant and falsely informed her that he had been approached by one of her colleagues to arrange her murder. He further claimed to be in possession of a recording as proof of this alleged conspiracy. Bengu then demanded an amount of 5,000 rand from the complainant in exchange for the said recording. Fearing for her safety, the complainant made an initial cash send payment of 2.5. Subsequently, to receive the payment, the accused ceased all communication and could not be reached.
A recap on the top story at this hour. Oil prices are surging relentlessly, touching their highest point since the US-Israel war on Iran began at the end of February. For SAFM News, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Theft, accident, and 1 million rand third-party cover for your older car. Outsurance Essential has it all. Get a quote. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
If you drive an older car, this is for you. For his 2012 GWM Steed, 68-year-old Andre chose Outsurance Essential Car Insurance because his claims get paid out in cash and he chooses his own panel beater. For these and many more benefits, Andre pays only 450 Rand a month. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Very good morning to you. In your SFM Sports headlines, we've got Kaizer Chiefs. They're eyeing redemption against Sundowns after the Bloemfontein shocker last night. And we also bring you rugby with Mani Libok's move to Japan has been a chance for him to reset. Let's find out more at around 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. It's looking pretty good between Pretoria and Joburg. Might be a little bit of mist lingering around the Pretoria section, but traffic volume is very light this morning, and it's a good clear run as it was yesterday. It looks pretty decent this morning, all the way down through Midrand. In fact, the entirety of the Gauteng highway networks are moving nicely, with the exception of that N3 North going up to Van Buren Road, up from the cement factory through the lane delineators there. That remains problematic and will do until those lane closures are reopened. Durban side looking pretty good as well. The run through Spaghetti Junction easy. There is a breakdown before Mschlanger, so a bit of a slowdown as you make you out towards Gateway. And if you're coming from Verulam, the R102 from Palmview down into Phoenix, there's quite a backlog of traffic to work through there. Petermaritzburg, Ashburton on the N3 looking okay as well. Cape Town, N1 into town, pretty slow from Plattekloof through to Sable Road. Plattekloof Road moving west through Plattekloof down towards Gert van Rooyen, down towards that Plattekloof shopping centre. That is quite a heavy backlog. And Marine Drive's got no lights at Boundary Road. That's Lagoon Beach. You're coming through from Milnerton. The pressure on there. And of course, the roadworks on the N7 North causing a backlog from Langa into Goodwood. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Cathy Mohlahlana on the National Briefing.
Nine after 8 o'clock, you're listening to the National Briefing. Welcome to the third hour of the show. Coming up in this hour, we'll get into Municipal Watch shortly. 10 senior officials at the Municipal local municipality have been arrested by the Hawks. 38 million rand meant for a landfill site gone. The EFF wants the municipality placed under the administration. The DA agrees, and residents say corruption is costing them dignity. And then in Built in Mzansi, a woman who's built Africa's first large-scale sanitary pad factory. They're producing 800 pads a minute, run entirely by women. That's the story we'll feature on Built in Mzansi later on in the hour. I know we've struggled today. It's been jam-packed. We haven't had much time for your feedback and reflections, but I guarantee we'll do that in this hour. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, send those voice notes to 0614 104 107. You're listening to the National Briefing.
Municipal Watch, bringing your local issues on the national agenda. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Well, let's get straight then into Municipal Watch for this morning. The Hawks have arrested 10 senior officials at the Municipal local municipality on charges of fraud and corruption. At the center of it, a 38 million rand tender allegedly awarded for the Morebeng landfill site. 2.2 million rand was paid before any work began and before a service level agreement was even signed. According to the court papers, the contract went to a company called SAfmRadio, allegedly registered in the wife's name of a senior official who had resigned from the municipality just before the deal was struck. Now, that particular landfill site remains unfinished today. The municipality placed under a Section 139 administration. The EFF wants the accused in this matter denied bail. Well, let's introduce you then to the various role players this morning. Charles Sitlopo is from the Batlokwa Community Concerned Group. He joins us. Charles, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Ndate. Also on the line, Commissar Lawrence Mapolo. Good morning, Lawrence.
Good morning, Sister Cathy and your listeners.
He's the EFF provincial chairperson, and also joining this conversation, Rofhiwa Molaudzi, the acting municipal manager at the Municipality. Rofhiwa, good morning to you.
Morning to you, Cathy, and greetings to your listeners.
Charles, let's start this conversation with you. At the heart of this particular scandal is this landfill site that was supposed to be built but remains unfinished. Give us a sense of what has happened with construction that you as residents are seeing on a day-to-day basis, but also speak to us about how you've been affected by this.
At Botlokwa, we're facing a lot of problems that caused by our municipality. So we have got some contractors that you just found there's a road that was resurfaced from Matok to Supnegar. It was for last year, but now already there is pothole, but that road is still new. Another one is the stadium. They don't even take care of that stadium. We don't know what's going on. But the main issue that we have now is that our municipality, even if we have got things that we need to raise to them, they are not even taking care of us. We have got a security company that is working on our hospital and clinics. When that company comes to our places, they used to take maybe 80% from community, but now that company just come with 80% from vendor. So we are not saying they mustn't bring people from vendor or from where they come from, but they must have some certain percentage from the community that benefit the community that they come to work to their places. But we end up having that problem. And as I'm speaking now, there is people at Botlokwa Hospital that they are chanting for those company that they have. They said they need to work. And that company promised them I don't remember, last month. And now we asked municipal manager on Section 4. So they didn't approve our Section 4. That strike today, we just have a strike without Section 4 cost. We even managed to go to Mowadi to speak to those people, but they just take us for granted. So we end up feeling like our municipality, they just focus on their looting on our money, forget about the groundwork that they have to deal with it.
So, Charles, just to be clear then, there's a protest taking place today by residents on some of these concerns.
Yes, those communities, they are at Botlokwa Hospital, because when we are speaking about Mukomene Clinic, we have got 7 people from vendor, only one from Mukome on our places and one from other places. They just take one. And on that hospital, the hospital work with 39 security guards, but they only have some few security for that hospital. The rest came with Iveco from vendor. So our people, they are no more benefiting from that. And even if we even ask those, when they have this municipal, public participation, they don't even have answers for us for those problems. Okay. That's why our community end up taking to the street today.
All right. Charles, thanks for highlighting that. Of course, you heard there from Charles quite an array then of issues that residents are raising on the show this morning. Let me go to Lawrence Mapolo of the EFF. Lawrence, to have this long list of grievances as has been raised by Charles, but then to also have a municipality that has so many officials that are in court, what have you seen to be the impact and effect of these latest developments?
Yes, thank you very much, Sister Cathy and the listeners. Firstly, the municipal manager has neglected his responsibility as directed by Section 60 of the Municipal Finance Management Act. And the problems in Mulamula municipality doesn't start today. You can hear from a member of the resident who represent the residents of Mulamula that they have got a mirage of problems. And these problems, I think the ANC government, that you are going to see, when the DA says they want to evoke Section 139 to put the municipality under administration, I'm telling you, Sister Cathy, it's another problem. Because now the provincial government is more corrupted more than the Mulamula municipality, because they'll create that as a milking cow. Now, what we are calling for is that all those officials must be denied bail. And again, without being rude to them, they must make sure that they comply, or rather, agree with the Hawks to sign Section 204, because I don't think this is their baby. The person who is responsible are the executive authority, being the mayor and the council. The people who are accountable, these are small fish here, Mama. They are not the real culprit. The real culprit here, if those officials are fair to the community, they will simply sign Section 204 to the Major General of the Hawks and make sure that those that have sent them to do what they've done are brought to book. That's the only thing. But this thing of putting the municipality under administration, we have seen it in Mogalakwena. The ANC government will use that municipality as a milking cow in preparation to come and govern that Mulamula municipality after local government elections. Therefore, we are calling on the officials not to get bail. They must remain in jail and rot there. And those that need to survive, let them sign Section 204 so that they must tell us if it's the mayor and the council who have sent them.
When we look at some of the concerns being raised about the spending, the Auditor General report for the 2024-25 financial year had red flagged some of these issues. Why do you think it's taken the actions of the Hawks for this matter to be taken further?
Select out all those areas.
Hello, Lawrence? All right.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're back on the line.
Yes, I'm saying when the AG flagged all those areas, the person who was supposed to be accountable or rather take action to the municipal manager and his officials was the mayor, but nothing was done up until now. The Hawks, and we praise the Hawks of their intervention. Now it seems as if now the Hawks are the mayor of the area. All those problems happen. Where was the mayor? And I'm asking myself, the reason why I'm saying Mama Cathy is to say this mayor is the one who sent all officials to commit such a horrible sin to the community of Botlokwa.
Let me bring in then Rofiwa Molaudzi, the acting municipal manager at Mulamula. Rofiwa, this is a very, very serious situation for the municipality. Firstly, let's look at operationally how you are dealing with having 10 senior members now effectively behind bars.
Thank you, Cathy, and thank you for giving us this time. Yeah, you're correct. Our accounting officer and other municipal officials were arrested. However, the council took a resolution on 18th of April to appoint myself as the acting municipal manager. I can assure you service delivery is not affected by this. All our offices are open. Service is being given to our community. We have never stopped giving services to our community. Water, sanitation, electricity, and other services are being rendered to our community. So I am acting until such time where the charges are being finalized. Thank you, Cathy.
And what about the positions that are occupied by the other officials?
We are busy making consultation. I think after we have said we have made a timeline, a time frame that we should bring the report to council on Tuesday. After Tuesday, that's when now we'll be making arrangement in terms of the way forward Thank you, Kate.
The allegation here is that there was no action by the municipality. And I know that you are the acting municipal manager. We did, of course, want to actually speak to the mayor because he may be in a better position to answer some of these questions. But the allegation that there has been a neglect of responsibility by the municipality in terms of actually dealing with these concerns that have been raised and that were previously flagged by the Auditor General. How do you explain why there was no action taken by the municipality against these officials?
That statement is incorrect, Kathy, because we've got AG action plan that we are attending to. Even if you can call for AG office, they will confirm that we are continuously engaging them to resolve these issues so that all the issues that have been raised are attended to. The statement is not correct.
So what actions then were taken against these officials before the Hawks raid?
In terms of actions, Kathy, what we are doing so far is engaging AG in terms of the actions or items that they have identified for us to resolve, of which we are doing. We have not found any wrongdoing in our as we are doing our work.
So you're surprised that these officials have been arrested?
We are surprised because we were just given a list of officials that need to report to the Hawks. So we will leave it to that because they've been arrested. Now there's a case that they need to respond to.
So there was no report from the municipality that showed any wrongdoing on their part?
No, we don't have such a report.
Okay, so let's talk then about this 38 million rand contract because that is at the heart of the issue here. What
Yes.
happened to that money?
I don't think it would be fair, Kathy, for me to go into that because remember now there's a case open.
No, but that's why you're here, sir. That's why you're here. And you are saying that you're surprised that these officials have been arrested, that there's been nothing wrong. You've done your investigations, but it's about this 38 million rand. So you can't say you can't talk about it. What happened to that project?
The project is there, Kathy. I agree the project is there. But I'm saying I can't go into details on a project that is in the process of the law.
When you say it's there, what do you mean?
The project is there. The Ramukupa landfill site project is there. They were busy on site. But what I'm saying to you now is that because people were arrested and they are facing...
Okay, let me simplify my questions. My questions. Did the municipality spend 38 million rand on this landfill site?
Come again?
Did you spend 38 million rand on this landfill site?
Those reports are incorrect. We did not spend 38 million. I was also surprised when I saw that on social media to say, where is this information coming from?
Okay. How much did you spend?
I don't have the values with me now.
No,
but,
you can't say that, Rofiwa. You can't dispute a figure and have nothing else in its place.
We did spend a percentage of the money.
You spent a percentage of 38 million?
Yes, on the work that has been done.
How much did you spend on it?
Like I'm saying, I don't have the value now with me. But the 38 million was never spent. That's one thing I can tell you.
That's very strange, especially because you knew that this was the topic of conversation for us this morning. Has that project been completed?
No, the project is not completed. The project is on hold now.
How long has it been going on for?
Clarify that question, please.
When did the project start?
This is a 2024-2025 project.
So it started in the last financial year?
Yes.
And it's not completed right now. It's on hold.
It's on hold, but not because of the processes that are going on, because of other technicalities.
What are those technicalities?
They involved other stakeholders where we needed to get approval on other matters.
You're speaking very vaguely, Mr. Rofiwa. Please make it
Yes,
plain for me.
I'm doing it because the project is still under investigation.
Yes,
I
but
don't, I
but
don't
but you're
want to
saying
get.
that the reason it's not on hold, the reason it's on hold is not because of the investigation, but
I
because of
don't want
other
to
things
get.
that are playing out. So help us
Uh,
understand what the issue then is.
Katie, I think we should just understand that I cannot go into the details of the project that is under investigation. If you can allow me to do that, please.
But surely you owe these answers to residents of
Answers will be
Mulemule.
given. Yes, correct. We all answers and we continuously give statements on the operations of the municipality. But for now, we've got issues and we've got our officials arrested. They need to answer to the charges that they've been charged with. And this project is part of the answers that they need to give. So I cannot go into details on the project that the police are also still investigating.
Lawrence?
You know, you can hear that Mr. Mlauzi is part of the cartel. Is part of the people who are arrested. He just came here because this is a national radio station which represent the people. He can't even consider that there was a corrupt tender process. He can't even consider that it is irregular and a wasteful expenditure. He can't even consider that there's a failure of leadership in fiduciary duty. And also there's criminal and fraud misrepresentation. Now Mr. Mlauzi is coming here to defend his colleagues who are now in prison. And if really I'm not a prophet, you might get Mr. Mlauzi is part of the whole cartel who is being arrested because he has been in the system. Now, if Mr. Mlauzi was in love of his citizen, was in love of his country, Mama Katie, he was supposed to be fair to the community and be prepared coming to this radio station of the people to say, these are the things that have happened and we are taking action. For instance, he was supposed to say, telling you, now Mama Katie to say, I'm going to put the municipal manager into precautionary suspension and all other managers. He can't say it because it is his colleagues in crime. I'm not a prophet, but you can hear. He doesn't need even to clarify the people of South Africa and Mulamula are under duress because of their actions. Therefore, as the EFF, we are not going to condone what he's saying. He must be able to respect the ears and the minds of our people out there and respect our national station and be truthful when he's asked questions and not hide of saying the case is sub judice.
All right. Charles, let me give you the last word here.
Yes, ma'am. So we are thanks, but you can see that these people, they just play their games here. There's nothing that they are doing for the community. Even, that's what I'm saying, they are just defending themselves. There's nothing they can't even answer us. You can see, that's what I'm saying, we have got a lot of challenges in our communities. Even now, we have got other school at Ramokhanya. That school, the government closed that school and said they will pay for transport children from Spala to Masedi. Now the children, they must walk from that place. There is no transport anymore. Those managers, they will never think about community and fight for the community to get the transport from Ramokhanya to Masedi school, to Masedi primary, then to Masedi school. So there's nothing they are doing this people. That's what I'm saying.
Rofiwa, I don't want to leave things hanging in as far as the concern raised by the community is. Are you going to be sending an official to receive a memorandum from them at today's protest?
The issue of the memorandum, I think they've sent a letter to us and we've responded to the memorandum because they are raising issues of security companies in hospitals, in shopping centers, and we are not responsible there. So we advise them on...
Are you going to be engaging them?
We are currently engaging them. Maybe they're not just happy with the response that we have given them, but we have given them advice on what they do because it's not under our responsibility. Shopping centers, securities, hospital securities, we are not there, Kathy. So we've given this group advice to say this is the course of action that you need to take.
All right. We'll have to leave it there. Rofiwa Mulaudzi, Acting Municipal Manager of Mulemule Municipality. Chanduko is standing by.
Thank you, Cathy. Good morning. Tanzania's High Commissioner to South Africa, James Bwana, has dismissed as unfounded viral social media messages alleging that there are xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Oil prices are surging relentlessly, touching their highest point since the US-Israel war on Iran began at the end of February. And the Muslim Judicial Council, MJC, has expressed concern on the arrest of religious leader Maulana Farouk Rylance in Cape Town. A full bulletin will follow at 9 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
On the cusp of a long weekend, which may well see a lot of people travelling to points further afield, and just you're going to be doing that at the same time as a cut-off low weather system arrives into the central part of the country. So particular concern around Kimberley, through the Northern Cape, and also down through parts of the Free State. There is a forecast for some very heavy rain, so if you are going to be travelling further afield over the next 24-48 hours, just make sure you're up to speed with what's happening in terms of that weather system and the severity of the rain, and it is going to be quite severe as well. North Riding looking quite busy. Malabongwe out towards Kaya Sand, and Witkoppen leaving North Riding out towards the Fourways area. Both of those routes under pressure. The rest of Gauteng generally having a light to run through the traffic today. All Durban's breakdown obstructions that were causing delays along the N2 corridor out through Spaghetti Junction towards Gateway, they've all been cleared up as well. Cape Town not on such an easy run. Plattekloof Road moving west through Plattekloof towards Velkaleerkum. That is very slow this morning. I think they're doing a set of roadworks on that route. That's towards Tableview, if you like. Marine Drive, no lights at Boundary Road, so queues from Milnerton down towards that Lagoon Beach, and of course the N7 North roadwork heading up into Goodwood before Voortrekker Road, causing delays, big delays coming through Epping, and the main road, South Peninsula, very busy, south at Cork Bay, northbound at Clovelly. There's also just been a crash on the N2 heading out of the town at Somerset West just by Hazelden Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning, Cathy. Cathy, I just want to say this morning, I love the way Zai Khan presents her sport, the way she ends it, she always ends it in style, like we'll swing back, Zai Khan, you the boss, away Remy from Yuval.
Away, Zai Khan.
What can I say? Oh, wow, Cathy, I really appreciate that, I really enjoyed it as well. Thank you. So, thank you, guys. I love that. Let's just keep it clean for now. We're going with Kaizer Chiefs, by the way, again. And I know the Chiefs fans are rolling their eyes. I can already see one of them in studio. But let's go to co-coach Cedric Kaze, saying his side must respond immediately after, their loss last night to Siwelele 2-0. They now face the league leaders, Mamelodi Sundowns. They've had, a tough time, Chiefs, but you know what? Their coach admitting they have no choice to dwell and feel sorry for themselves. They have to raise their level against the Brazilians.
We still have 4 games, and as we said before, we want to finish as high as we can. And the good thing is ahead of us. Our next game is a big one, and we're gonna do everything to react and to show our character. And it's very good that it's a big game that coming for us to put ourselves in the right mindset to get into that game.
Let's go to women's soccer with the newly appointed Diepkloof Ladies Technical Director, Anna Monati, saying building a strong foundation is key ahead of their debut season in the Hollywood Bet Super League. She says her role goes beyond just results, but assembling a competitive squad.
Then I said to Mosh, no, because she begged me.
honestly. She was like, please, can you lead this? And being a technical director is to make sure that I manage everybody. I work, I advise, I teach them how to run the team, even the players, but it's not an easy job. You need to have 3 to 4 liters of water, not as a freezing. It's a freezing mode. So this job, I'm very excited, but I'm happy because I'm going to unearth a lot of talent.
And plenty of talent when it comes to Springbok fly half Mani Libok, who appears to have rediscovered his spark with his move to Japan, offering a timely mental and physical reset ahead of the international season. The 27-year-old has thrived away from the intense scrutiny of South African rugby, playing a more instinctive, attacking brand of rugby in a league that suits his natural flair. And finally, tennis action. Arthur Fields continues to light up the clay season, powering into the Madrid Open semi-finals with a straight sets win over Yuri Lehechka. World number 1 Yannick Sinner also through, easing past the Spanish teenager Rafael Jodar 6-2, 7-6. On the women's side, Anastasia Potapova's fairy tale continuing as the lucky loser stormed into the last four, while Martha Kostyuk cruised past Linda Noskova to set up a semi-final showdown between the two. That's your sport on the National Briefing. We'll serve it up some more with John Hediker around 12:30. I'm Sai Khan.
SABC2 is bringing the heat. New shows, new faces, and stories that hit home like the one I'm in. It's called Pinball, and that's where you can catch me, Clementine Musimane, Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. Live in every bit, the pulse of SA.
Neighbor to neighbor, Chomi, this one is for you. The time is now. If you are still using a SASA Gold card, it's time to replace it with a Postbank Black card. Visit a selected Postbank replacement site near you. Bring your ID and get your Postbank Black card. For general questions, call Postbank Customer Care on 0800 53 54 55. To find active replacement sites, dial *120 *355 #. Postbank will never ask for your PIN. Terms and conditions apply.
Exciting news. South Africa SABC TV Licenses has partnered with Capitec to make paying your TV license simple, affordable and accessible. If you're a Capitec client, sign into the app and click on Transact. Next, select Payables, then click Pay At and enter your reference number to complete your payment. It's as easy as that. You'll receive instant SMS confirmation. Now you can keep your stories alive and your screens shining bright. TV licenses, pay yours, make a difference.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
All right, it's time to get into your reflections then and the stories you may want to be weighing in on this morning. The number to dial 086 000 2032. I know the phone lines have been going crazy this entire show, so we'll finally be able to take some of your views on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages. Please, with the voice notes, let's try and make sure that we're governed by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. There's a BCCSA code we need to abide by, so please, let's remember there are rules of engagement. Let's not throw them out of the window. I know some of you are angry, but let's not throw them out of the window. Let me start off with Anonymous. Anonymous, good morning.
Morning, Cathy.
Yes, sir.
The acting municipal manager and the municipality, can they just account for the following road conditions? One, the road between Matox Clinic and Sekagene Village. They must just tell us why for the past 15 years or so they've been unable to fix that road. They have been unable to fix the road between N1 or RDP section to Matox Clinic. Again, for the past 20 to 25 years, the municipality has been totally failing to fix that road. Can they just answer us why the village of Sekagene, there is no water for the communities? And there's also a road from the N1 to Rapasha village. Can they just account to us why are we still driving on those type of roads when the municipality is spending millions of rands on projects that we don't even know where are they rendering or building whatever they want to build.
Anonymous, I'm assuming that you're a resident in Mulemole.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Can the municipal manager also, the acting municipal manager, also tell us about this project where they spent millions of rands? Where is this place particularly? Where can one go and just look at it? Because as residents, we don't even know where it is, and what role will it play in enhancing the lives of the residents. Thank you very much.
So there isn't an area that residents know where the project has been taking place, the landfill site?
That is what we want them to show us as residents, because I'm personally not aware, and I know many other residents are not aware, and what role will that play in our lives?
Okay. Anonymous, thanks for that contribution. Those questions for the Mulemole municipality. So what we are going to do is that we're going to have follow-up conversations with these municipalities. So we'll record everything that you're bringing up, and we'll take the key issues that we will then put to these municipalities and officials later on in the year. In Costa, is it Kobina? Good morning.
Good morning. Catherine, the point of the argument is, yes, we don't want foreigners, illegal migrants. That is true. But when you are protesting, you don't have to attack these foreigners. You don't have to set them alive. You don't have to kill them. Some of them are killed. Some of them are burnt alive. Some of them are maimed. Some of them are injured. But you're not talking about that part of the argument. Deport illegal migrants. That is true. But do not attack them, do not injure them, is the argument. And this so-called, Jacinta, her argument shows that she's completely naive. Look, there are foreigners in every country. Even those that are, those who have educated her, perhaps they are foreigners. So can she appreciate a little bit? That is the point of the argument.
Okay, and let's not make inferences about details we don't know, Kobina. So let's stick to the facts of what you want to talk about and the point you want to make.
That is, if you are protesting against foreigners, do not injure them in the name of they don't have to be here. Do not attack them. Some of them are injured, some are killed, and nothing is done. That is the point. And you remember something. When this ANC was stroking the globe, going to African countries, asking for money, it is time for them to pay back. Have they thought about it? Pay back the money collected from Ghana. Pay back the money collected from ordinary Ghanaian children, school children that donated money to the cost of the ANC to fight apartheid. It is about time to pay back. Have they thought about it?
Kobina, calm down. This idea of paying back, unpack that for me a little bit further.
Look, there are, Catherine, there are documented proofs that the ANC at the time collected money from government and even ordinary citizens. There are documented proof. You should be asking them.
We know about countries that were critical to the struggle against apartheid. We know about the frontline states. We know about. So what I want you to explain is the connection between that solidarity and this idea of it's time for payback.
Look, if you're giving financial support and you're in a position now, isn't it wise for you to reward those countries financially, or perhaps give them something monetary value? I mean, pay back them in just simple language. Give them back the money you collected from them when you're struggling. It is time to give it back to them. And I also want to say that, you see, this news media, I think these journalists should engage in constructive, productive journalism. Because if you're not managing this social discourse in the proper direction, you remember Rwanda's crisis? It all started on radio. Okay. If you're funding this kind of backward mentality of debate which is not helping us progress.
Kobina.
At the end of the day, what is going to happen is there'll be social disorder and there'll be what? Extinction of what? Foreign nationals. I mean, this is wrong.
Kobina, we're going to leave it there with you for this morning. Mtandeni, you're in Lenasia. Good morning.
Morning, Ma'am Cathy. Ma'am Cathy, I'm concerned. You see the listener that was talking just now. I'm getting worried because they are so emotional. You know, us as South Africans, we're very loving people. If it was not us, people who are loving this foreign national, I'm telling you, it will be chaos. Now, every time they are threatening us, Ma'am Cathy, I'm very worried because on both sides you are being taken you're taking sides. Just now you was just saying proper journalism. I will say something different. I will say the journalists, the presenters, I think one way or another, John Robbie had an impact on you. Because every time we try to raise the point, we are questioned like we are xenophobic. John Robbie, when he was hosting this morning, used to raise this xenophobic. I tried to look in the dictionary. I never find it as xenophobic. At the end, I find it, but I could not understand and align with us. Now what I'm trying to say is that Mash and Mash is doing this very, very peaceful. And if you are a leader in the Mash, you cannot see what is happening. But I can tell you, we are so disciplined. We don't one way or another and attack them, or one way or another call them by names. Ma'am Cathy, I'm staying in the informal settlement called Pumlamkash. I used to, when I drive around, I used to ask myself, what is these people with these checks doing? But now, I didn't know that one day I would end up there. Now, you know what I'm trying to say, Ma'am Cathy, is that are you guys who are in the middle class, you must touch down in Johannesburg. Maybe it's years and years you've never been there. That's why most of the time when you someone try to raise a point, you try and maybe look like if maybe you are difficult. Like I would say, today I'm one of the listeners that is listening SAFM every day, and you're one of my favorite presenters. But today I was not happy the way you were like questioning Zuma about
yes. And I take that criticism fully. I have to go to traffic, unfortunately, but I think I've given you ample time to make your point. Rob is standing by with the latest update.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Yeah, thanks, Cathy. Just a reminder about the heavy weather that's due in from now across the next sort of 24, 48 hours around the central parts of the country, Northern Cape, northwest parts of the Free State, particularly heavy, sort of centred around Kimberley. It's what they call a cut-off low, and if you've ever been through a cut-off low, you'll know how extensive the rain can be. So just, as we drive into a long weekend and drive that long distance into parts we don't normally go into, just make sure you're keeping an eye on the forecast and you are checking conditions ahead. Joe Bird crash on the N3 North at Linksfield. There's also, once you get through that, some delays heading up into Buccleuch. That section of the N3 from Marlborough Drive through to Buccleuch looking quite slow. N1 South through Victoria mid-round, checks fine. There is a bit of mist lingering in pockets around Gauteng, so if it's misty, please keep your headlights on and drive safely. Durban, Pietermaritzburg, clear at Cliffdale and Key Ridge, no major problems there. Cape Town this morning, Marine Drive is fairly solid from Milnerton through towards Parton Island. No traffic lights at Lagoon Beach is the problem there. N1 inbound from Kilbasson through to Sable Road looking quite busy, and still a lot of traffic on the N2 and M5 routes as you come through and trying to get through to Hospital Bend. The N2 backlogging almost as far as Lunga this morning. And if you're on your way out of town, a crash on the N2 at Somerset West just by Hazelden Drive causing some delays into that scene. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
Cathy, this is a waste of airtime. It's a waste of opportunity. You are focusing on isolated incidents instead of getting to the main details and the main purpose of the march. So I'm not happy with your interview at all.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Cathy, for an awesome show. Thank you for not allowing anyone actually to get away with not answering directly or holding people accountable. We need more people like this, like yourself, in this country. So kudos to you. Thank you. Bye. It's Ursula.
Yes, good morning, SAFM. Sister Jacinda, doing an amazing work. Shout out to you and the team. Please don't be discouraged with such question as if you are, inciting violence. Those who are committing crime must account. March and March is an innocent movement which we need as a country because the EFF is supporting foreigners in this country. It's Manele in PE. Danko.
Morning, Katie. As a country, we need to do a mass deportation of these illegal immigrants. That is in millions in South Africa. Yeah, Katie, can I ask you a question? Which business that Nigerians are doing in South Africa that can contribute in our economy except drug dealing and human trafficking?
Morning, Sisiketi. Why is it always when South Africans and politicians raise some concerns about things that are taking place in the country, people call it electioneering? They are doing that for the votes. When is the right time to raise concerns? When is that? When is the right time? So that people won't say it's about elections, it's political. When is the right time for South Africa to raise concerns? Anonymous.
All right, those are just some of the messages you're sending through on the WhatsApp line. Appreciate all of the feedback, by the way. I certainly don't take any feedback or criticism negatively. I take it all within the spirit of the national discourse. So we'll continue to take your calls. I know we are supposed to be getting into Built in Mzansi right now, but we've had to reschedule that interview at the request of our guest who's had an emergency come up. So we will see when next we can take that interview. So it means more time for you and I then on the line. Lucas, you're in the Eastern Cape. Good morning. Oh, by the way, Lucas, before I come to you, I wanted to note, I'm progressing. Sesi Cathy, Mama Cathy. Next week, you can Mama Golo Cathy. Yo, diaboya, man. Lucas, good morning.
Morning, Cathy. This time I disagree with you the way you conducted the interview with Jacinta.
Tell me why.
No, let me tell you. You know, you can't legalize something that is illegal because that is corruption. And there's a tendency in the middle class where you guys are trying to impose things on us who are living on the lower ground. You understand? Most of the people who are saying to us we must legalize illegal foreigners are the ones who are staying in gated houses. We're not staying in gated houses. And if you want justice, even when it comes to the laws that you guys are always signing on the conventions, wherever you go on convention, did you agree with us? Did you agree with us to go and legalize this thing of what you call refugees and all those other stuff? Now you are imposing illegal foreigners on us. Then that's why most of us were supporting March and March. It's because somebody that came illegally must be deported. You see, in my community where we're staying, there are also legal foreigners. Even at where I'm working with legal foreigners from all different countries, and I've got no problem with that because if they commit a crime, they will be arrested. But somebody that came illegally, you don't know. You guys don't understand the havoc that they are causing us at our communities. I think that's my take. So something that is illegal must never be legalized.
Lucas,
No payments for them; they must just be deported.
Yeah, I think part of what you're saying is also building on the conversation we had with Malaika Matlatsi yesterday around looking at what Spain is doing. I mean, if we recognize migration as a broader global challenge, and that South Africa is not the only country that is dealing with this problem, is it not worth our while to see what other countries are doing? We might not agree, we might not implement, but should we not at the least be able to benchmark and see what others are doing about the problem?
Okay, can I ask you a question? If we legalize those people, if you want to legalize them, the illegal foreigners, if they can go and stay in Sandton, right in your suburbs where you guys, and Eden Park where you guys are staying, we don't have any problem with that. But if they are going to come to places like Honeydew, Zandspruit, and Diepsloot, I've got a problem with that one. They must go and listen here. They must come and stay there in your suburbs and eat with you in your tables. It's fine. Then you leave us, the poor, in our informal settlement. It's fine.
All right. Look, and Lucas, I'm thinking about an area like Diepsloot, which I covered for a long time as a reporter. And seeing the patterns of violence in an area like that, and I have an understanding of that. I've covered the vigilantism. I covered, members of the community rising up because of the conditions, right? And it's such a complex web. It's not just one thing. Ozzy, you're in Midrand. Good morning.
Hi, Casey. I'll be quick. The first one, I fully agree the way you conduct your interview. You are very objective, because at the same time we cannot condone illegality acts because it won't resolve the problem. It's just going to exacerbate. So it's just going to create multiple layers of problem. But there are 2 points I want to raise. One is the issue of Mr. Mugabe. What happens to the self-incrimination law? Are we not supposed to be proven, even if you say I committed a crime, but that crime must be proven beyond reasonable doubt? So if we could get some legal minds to explain the technicality to that as well. That's the first one, Kate. Number 2 is I've been getting a lot of calls. I was born in Angola, and here I'm a permanent resident here. I'm getting quite a lot of calls and videos that are coming from Angola, worried of the things that are happening. And I keep telling them, guys, where are you guys getting this message? So I think there is a responsibility for all of us to be careful on the message that you portray out there. Because right now the narrative in Angola is like, things are bad, they are taking foreigners and so on and so forth.
All right.
Thanks, Kate.
Ozzy, we're going to have to leave it there. That's where we come to the end of the show, the National Briefing for today. Up next, the Daily Discourse with Joy and Joseph. As always, it's been a pleasure being in your company. Chandugo is standing by with your 9 o'clock news.
Thank you, Cathy. The top stories at this hour. Tanzania's High Commissioner to SA dismisses xenophobia reports, and Elon Musk testifies for second day in his lawsuit. Good morning. I am Chandruko Ligege. Tanzania's High Commissioner to South Africa, James Bwana, has dismissed as unfounded viral social media messages alleging that there are xenophobic attacks in South Africa. He says Tanzanians living in South Africa are safe. Bwana says misleading videos have caused panic among families back home. Isaac Lukando reports from Dar es Salaam.
Officials at the Tanzanian High Commission in Pretoria are urging calm after viral videos claim to show Tanzanians attacked in South Africa. They say the clips are outdated or misidentified, with no verified evidence of Tanzanians being targeted. Community leaders, including representatives of the Tanzanian diaspora in Pretoria, say the misinformation has caused fear, calling for action against those spreading false content. In Dar es Salaam, reactions are mixed. Some residents say the reports are worrying, pointing to South Africa's history of sporadic xenophobic violence. Others say social media is fueling unnecessary panic without facts. Isaac Lukando, SABC News, Dar es Salaam.
Oil prices are surging relentlessly, touching their highest point since the US-Israel war on Iran began at the end of February. The benchmark Brent crude simply crossed a $120 a barrel mark amid concerns about how long the conflict will last. The BBC's Jonathan Josephs has the details.
President Trump met a group of energy executives, including Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, at the White House yesterday. Discussions included what steps could be taken to minimize the impact of higher oil prices on American consumers if the current US blockade on Iran continued for months. A White House official described the meeting as being part of the president's regular meetings with energy industry leaders. However, reports from Washington say the president has instructed aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iran.
Meanwhile, the impact of the rising fuel cost in South Africa is already being felt with the price of some essential food items. This is according to non-profit organization, the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. It has attributed this to the US-Israel war on Iran. The organization's program coordinator, Mervyn Abrams, says with another fuel price hike on the cards, consumers are facing a further financial burden.
Between January and March of this year, we saw food prices stabilize and even coming down by a few percentages. But however, in April, we saw quite a large spike in the price of the cost of our basket. So the cost of our basket spiked by 2.3%, or in rand terms, 123 rand and 56 cents.
The Muslim Judicial Council, MJC, has expressed concern on the arrest of religious leader Maulana Farouk Rylance in Cape Town. The council says in a statement that the arrest is alleged to be linked to the contravention of an interdict related to the Waterloo Road Mosque. The council has described the matter as serious and sensitive. It says it has an issue with the manner in which the arrest was made. The council also says it is in contact with Ryland's legal representatives and is closely monitoring developments. Finally, the tech billionaire Elon Musk has been testifying for a second day in his lawsuit against the maker of ChatGPT and the boss of OpenAI, Sam Altman. Musk has accused Altman of misleading him into shifting OpenAI away from its non-profit roots toward a for-profit model. But OpenAI says Musk is motivated by jealousy and regret for walking away from the company in 2018. The BBC's Lily Jamali has the details.
Elon Musk has really stuck to his talking points, namely that OpenAI ditched its mission to build AI safely and for the benefit of the public. He's asking for more than $100 billion. The claim is he was deceived by Altman and some others into making a massive series of donations, all while he believed it would be a nonprofit. OpenAI, on the other hand, seeking to show that Musk is really just suing because he's upset that the company succeeded wildly without him, and that he's just trying to derail a competitor.
A recap on the top story at this hour. Tanzania's High Commissioner to South Africa, James Bwana, has dismissed as unfounded viral social media messages alleging that there are xenophobic attacks in South Africa. For SAFM News, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Get a free optical frame when you get tested at Specsavers this April. Purchase a comprehensive eye examination and get your optical frame free up to the value of 1,000 Rand. Choose your free frame from our wide range of trendy, affordable styles. Get tested today at your nearest Specsavers or book online. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Hey there. Need to know your TV license balance but don't want to wait? No sweat. Just send a quick SMS with your ID or TV license number to 44210. Remember, standard SMS rates apply. And presto, your balance pops right up anytime, anywhere. It's as easy as pie. So why procrastinate? Give it a try and get your info in a flash. T's and C's apply.
Neighbor to neighbor, show me this one is for you. The time is now. If you're